Hello guys, welcome back to another demo in our channel. In this demo today, we're going to be building a full stack Java application with Spring Boot and ReactJS as the front end. So we're going to build this project right from the back down to the front, and we are going to have an end-to-end test after everything. So let's move down to IntelliJ and get started. So right here in IntelliJ, I'm just going to generate a brand new project. And this one I'm going to call Spring Boot React Demo, like so. And this one will change from Gradle to Maven and change our domain. And now we move next to select dependencies. So I'm going to pick the Lombok, and here we're going to have the JPA, and we're going to have the web. We're going to have the Spring Web, and we're going to have MySQL for database. So we're going to have MySQL drivers for database, right? So these are the 4 dependencies we need for now in this project. So just click on create, and I'm going to put this on the same window. Okay, so we can see that our project has finished and generating. So I'm just going to remove this. So let's open up our project. No. So right here in our main package, I'm going to right click. We're going to create a couple of packages. So the first one we're going to create here is a model package. And the second one here is going to be the service. The next one we're going to create here is repository. And next we're going to create another one. You have service, we have this, we have this. The next one we're going to create is the controller, right? So let's create the controller package. So here we have controller, right? Okay, so now we're just going to right click on the model package and create a class called students. So we're going to add this to the repository. So in a moment, I'm going to make this a full screen. And here we're going to give our students a few attributes. Have the ID, and we're going to have the name. And we're going to have this is last name. This is going to be called last name. And next we're going to have the email. And the last attribute we're going to have here is going to be called department. Okay, so now as usual we're going to go up here to make this one here a JPA entity, and followed by this we're going to have some Lombok annotations to generate getter setters as usual. All arg constructor, and straight away we're just going to have add no arg constructor as well. All right, so this is the ones we need right now. So let's set the primary key, to our entity, and let's specify how this primary key is going to be generated automatically. So we're going to set the strategy here to identity, like so. And here we're going to set this image to add natural ID. Natural ID. So in case you don't know what natural ID is, this one makes this email. If we set, when we annotate this email with this natural ID, it's going to automatically make this email a primary key. That is a unique key, right? Here we have our primary key here, right? This ID here is the primary key as we've identified here, right? But here, setting this one here is going to make this email unique. So there are no two users there are no two students or two users in the database can have the same email, right? But by default, this one is false. So which means this email cannot be modified, cannot be modified or changed cannot be modified after creation. So what I'm just going to do here, I'm going to give the opportunity to the user to actually be able to modify the email, that is to edit the email, right? So now I think we are done with this. So I'm going to close this down, and now we're going to move to our student service here, the service class, service folder. So I'm going to right click and create a new class. I'm going to call this iService, iStudent service. iStudent service. This one actually is going to be an interface. So we're going to declare the signature of all the methods we're going to use in with our students, right? So the first one we're going to do here is a method to actually add a new student. Add student, and this one is going to take the student object. And the next one we're going to do is we're going to create a method to get the list of every student we have in our database. So list of students. So this one we're going to say get students, like so. And the next one we're going to have is a method to actually update the student. This one is going to return the student. So we have update students, and we're going to have the student object. And also we're going to have the ID of the students to be updated. And the next one we're going to create is a method to actually get a single student. Get students. This one definitely is going to be get student by ID, right? So here we pass in the ID of the students. Maybe I should just make this clear so the reader of the method will actually know exactly what this one is doing. So this one is get student by ID, right? So let's just specify here. And the last one we're going to be creating is a method to actually delete a student from our database or department. Okay, so this one's going to be the ID of the student as well. Okay, so these are the 6 methods. I mean 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 methods that we need here for now. So I'm going to close this down, and let's create the implementer, that is the service class that will implement the interface we've just created. So this one here is going to be called student service, like so, and this one is going to be class this time. Yeah, and I'm going to make this a full screen. So let this implement the iService class we've just created. All right, so we're going to implement. So using Windows, I'm going to press Alt Enter and enter again and enter the final time to actually implement all this method we have created. So here, let's annotate this with @service annotation, because this one is a service class. So now we are going to start implementing this method one after the other. But before then, we're going to create a repository, a student repository that we're going to use to get the free CRUD operation. So here we have to say student repository, and this one actually is going to be an interface. So make this a full screen. So this one is going to extends the JPA repository like so. Yeah, and let's set the ID here. Okay. So this is just all we need here, right? So let's close this down and go back to our service class. So we're going to get a reference to this repository we just created now. So let's say private final student repository. I will just call this student repository. So we're going to inject this through the constructor injection. So we're going to be using the Lombok annotation called required arg constructor. So this annotation is going to inject these dependencies through our constructor right into this very class. So having done this now, the next one we're going to do here is to start implementing this class, this method we created one after the other. But according to my own convention, I'm just going to, I always like this method that gets, I always like the method that fetch all the data we have in our database to always be the number one here in my service class. So here I'm just going to return repository dot find all. I think it's the easiest method to implement, right? Just straight ahead, find all. So now let's go back to, let's add student, right? So we're going to add a new student. So for now, we're going to, before coming here, we're going to, anyway, we're just going to return, anyway, just return repository.save the entity, which is the student entity, like so. But before we're going to save this, we're going to find out if the student already exists. So we're going to check the email. If that email already exists in our database, we're going to throw an exception, an error message to the user, right? So for that, we're going to create a new method here to actually do the validation. So students, we're going to call this one student already exists. If student already exists, which means we have students, the email, we're going to check the student by the email. Student.get email. So if the student already exists, we're going to throw a message to the user. So we throw new, and for that we're going to create a new exception, a new class to handle this exception, right? Students already exists exception. Students already exists exception, right? So here we're just going to pass a simple string message by getting the students. So here we just say already exists, already exists. So now we're going to get the student's email. So we'll just say this email already exists. Oh my gosh, it has cleaned off what I've done. So student will get email like this plus already exists. Okay. So now we're going to, before we move further, clean this space. So before we move further, we're going to create this exception class first. So now let's create the method, not the class. So let's create the method, and I'm going to move this to the extreme end. Yeah, I'm gonna move this here, and now what we're just gonna do here is to return the repository, is to ask the repository to find these students by the email, right? So which means we're going to have a finder method in our repository. So what we're just going to do here is to call the repository to actually find the student, find by email. So this is a finder method, right? So we just pass in the email here. and that's all we need. So now we're going to, oh, this one is dot period, right? So now we're going to create this method in our repository here. Close this, like so. But meanwhile, this one is going to be, I'm going to change this one to optional students to guard against non-pointer exception, right? Okay, so this one's going to be an optional student, and so this is just what we need here. So let's close this down, and we go back to here. So here now we're being tasked to complete the method because it's an optional. So we're just going to say dot is present. So what we're doing here basically is that we are telling this method, if the student is present, then bring it out, else throw an error or exception. So we're going to cache this exception down here. That's what we try to cache down here, right? So if the student is not present, it's going to throw this exception here we have created here. So I'm going to zoom this out a little bit because it's going out of screen. So the next thing we're going to do here is to create this exception class. Yeah, create for us. So let's create this class, and for that we're going to create a new package called exception. Like so, and we're going to choose, click OK, and click OK, and click OK the final time. So we're just going to make this one, we're going to change this X to message, right? And we're just going to call this super here and pass in the string message. But meanwhile, this one is going to extend the runtime exception, like so. So this is all we need to do here. So let's close this down and close this down. Sorry, so let's go back to let's continue our implementation, methods implementation, right? So the next one we're going to implement, so now we have implemented these two, add students and get all students, right? So the next one we're going to implement is the method that we actually save a new student to the database, right? So now let's where is it? Save students, add student. Where is the add student method? Oh, sorry, we have add student. We've implemented the add student. So the one we're going to do it right now is the method to actually update students, so to speak. That's what I was trying to say. So the method to update a student in our database. So here we're just going to return the repository. So what we're going to do here is to first of all find the student by ID, is to check if that student actually in existence, right? Actually exists, right? So here we're just going to do method chaining. So we're just going to say .map here. We're going to pass the parameter, and here we're going to have use the lambda function to actually map this method, this user. So what we're trying to do here is that if this student exists, then we're going to retrieve it and set the attribute to be updated, right? So that what we're going to do here is to just come down to say st.set first name here, that we get student dot first name, like so. Student dot get last name, and the next one here is going to be the email, a set email, and we're going to say student dot get email, and the last one here is the department, set department. So we get the student dot get department. So this is all we need to do here. And after this, now we're going to actually call the repository to actually save the student. We save and we say st, right? And end here. Now what we're doing here is that we are trying to find if this student we're trying to edit is still existing, is still in the database, right? So because in many scenario, maybe you will be trying to view a student this information somewhere, and another person somewhere that has access, or maybe admin, or maybe the user itself from another country, from another location, has already deleted the information. So in that case, if you want to delete, it's going to throw an error. So that is the error we're going to catch here right now. So now after doing this now, so we're going to say if the user is not found, then you're going to throw exception, right? So here we'll say .or else. So we're going to throw the exception of a student not found, right? So here we're just going to have a function, lambda expression here. Oh my god, what's going on here? Okay, so now we're going to say throw new. So this one I'm going to say student not found. This one another class we're going to create, student not found, exception. So now we're going to pass in a simple string message. Could not be found. This is could. Yeah. So we're just going to say sorry, this student could not be found. So we're just going to zoom out. Okay, here. So now let's actually create this method. This class to handle this exception. So we're going to one more time choose this exception package and actually create this this one here, and this one straight away is going to extend the runtime exception like so. And here we have the message, and as usual we're going to call the super constructor and actually pass this message to it, right, like so. So now we're done with this. Let's close it back. And now let's come back here to create the method that actually find a user by the ID, right? So which is the next one here, find user, sorry, not user, find student by the ID. So here we're just going to return repository. Oh, sorry, this is student repository dot find by ID, this one here, and we'll just pass in the ID. And now what we're just going to do here, we're going to pass, because this one here is an optional, so what we just need to do here is to throw an error, right? So we're just going to say, we can just say .get like so, right? We can say .get, but I'm not going to use this. I'm actually going to throw a message. I'm going to customize a message for the user to see, right? So because that here, I'm going to break this down, and so we're going to say throw new, which means we're going to be using the class, the exception class we just created a few minutes ago. So here we say new student not found, this one here, not found exception. So we're just going to say define the same message like we defined a couple of minutes ago, a few minutes ago, right? So we're going to say sorry, student not found, or maybe we're just going to say student not found with this ID, right? Maybe student not found with this, or maybe we're just going to say student with this ID. Sorry, student with this ID could not be found with this. Oh, sorry, no students. Sorry guys, no student found with the ID. So here let's include the ID here. No student found with the ID plus the ID, like so, right? So we just say no student found with ID number 30, or no student found with ID number 2, right? So that is basically what we're doing here. So now we are done with this method. So the next one we're going to create is the method to actually delete the student from our database, right? So for that, for this here, we're just going to check if the student actually exists. So we're going to use a free method from our CRUD repository. So just here we'll say if not student repository dot exists. Here we're going to use the exists here. They'll pass in the ID of the student, right? And so we are saying that this method here is a free method, right? So it is in the CRUD repository here. You see here, it's in the CRUD repository here, the JPA CRUD repository. So this is the method here we are using for free, this one here, right? Okay, so now we're just going to throw exception. If the student is not found, we're going to throw exception. So here we're just going to say throw new use a student not found exception, and we're just going to pass in a simple string message. So sorry student not found, right? And have we done this? The last one we're going to implement, okay, we've done already. Sorry. So we finished with all the method implementation. So here, this one here is the method to get a user by email. This one here is getting a user by ID, and this one is deleting a user by ID. This one is getting a user by ID, and this one is updating the sorry, not user, student, right? Student. And this one is adding a new student, and this one is actually getting every student we have in our database. So I think we are done with this class for now, so let's close it down. So the next one we're going to do here is to actually go back to our controller and start implementing this. So for that, we're going to right click on this controller package and create the new endpoint to actually consume our methods, right? So here I'm just going to say student controller. Okay, so here our controller has been, we have created our student controller. So what we just need to do here is to come here with some annotations, right? So let's go with our student, REST controller. And here we're going to set the request mapping as usual. And this one we're going to set to students. So this is going to be students, like so. And after this, I'm going to make this a full screen. So after this, what we're just going to do here, we're going to get a reference to our students service. So we'll have iStudent. This one here we call student service. And this one we are going to inject through the constructor, right? We're going to make constructor injection here, and we are going to, for that, we're going to use the Lombok annotation at required arg constructor, this one here. And this annotation here, we only inject any field that is final in our class, right? So that means, for example, if we have a field like this that is not final, for example, we have something like this that is not final, this one is not going to be injected. So the only final one here is going to be injected, all the final ones, right? So that is what this annotation here is doing, okay? So now, having done this, now we're going to create the first endpoint we're going to create is the one that we actually get all the students we've gotten in our database. So here we have to return the, we have to get the response. We have to respond with a list of users, right? Not users, list of students, like so. So here we have the students, student, like so. And here we just call this get students. We call this get students. And then we return a new response entity. So here we just call the service to fetch all the users. Let's get users, and here we have the HTTP status dot found, right? So we're just going to say dot found, and we go out and terminate. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, here. So here we just terminate. And this one here is going to be at get mapping. So here we have, at get mapping, like so. So this one is done. So the next one we're going to create is the one that we actually save students in our database. So we're just going to have public students add students, right? And this one here, we're going to take the object of the student. We're going to add the object of the students, and we are going to actually request the object of the students. We're going to request the body. So here we're going to say at request body, this one here. And then we're just going to return the service. We're going to call this service, the student service, to actually add this user to the users we've already gotten. The students we've already gotten in the database. I always call users because every day we only talk about users, right? So we have post mapping, and this one is going to actually add new students to our database. So this one is out of the way. So the next one we're going to create, the next endpoint we're going to create here is the one to actually update the students, right? So here we have public update students, and this one also we're going to request for the student object. So we're going to request body, and then we're going to have we're going to also get the ID of the user that we are trying to update. So for this, what happened? Couldn't auto wire. Okay, so for this we're going to request the body here. So here we have request body of the students, and what is actually happening here? Okay, public student, we didn't have return type. Sorry for that. So here we're going to have at path variable, so we have this, and then we're just going to return straight ahead. We're going to return the service. We're going to return the service dot update student, right? So we're going to pass in the student objects and the ID of the student to be updated. And this one here is going to be at update, right? So we get at put mapping, and this one we're just going to define something inside here like update, and we're going to pass in the path variable, which is the ID. Okay, so this one is out of the way. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this one is out of the way. So the next one we're going to be creating is the method that we the endpoint that we actually the method to delete the user from the database. So this one here we have the public, and this method is going to be void, and we're going to call this delete students, right? And here we're going to have the student variable as the path ID, the student ID as the path variable of the student we're going to delete, right? So the ID is going to be we're going to request for the ID to be deleted. So here we're just going to call service dot delete. Then we'll pass the ID. Sorry, dot delete here. Then we pass in the ID right here, and this one is going to be, of course, the delete mapping. And in here, I'm just going to say delete, I'm going to slash delete and slash the path variable, which is the ID of the student. So here we just pass in the ID. Okay, so this one is out of the way. So the last one we'll be creating here, the last method we'll be creating is the one that we actually find a student by ID, the single student by ID. So yeah, we're just going to say public students. Yeah, student, we say get by ID, get student by ID, like so. And having done this here, we're just going to have, we're going to set the path variable also as the student ID here. So have long ID, and straight away we're just going to return the service dot delete student, and we pass in the student ID. All right, is this correct? Delete students. What do we have here? Return. Oh, no, get student by ID. Sorry, what am I doing? Guys, forgive me. Thinking something else. Thinking about the deletion of the students. Why getting the student? So now this one is going to be we get mapping, and here we're going to say student. Actually, the student we're going to get here students, and we're going to pass the ID as the path variable, like so. Okay, so I think now we are done. We're done with our here. We are done with our endpoint creation. So I think we are moving towards testing our back end. So now let me quickly, before we run this application, let me show you something here. So here I have changed this file to YAML. Yes, so just you can decide to use .properties or you can decide to use .yaml, but for me I changed the .property file to .yaml. So I have configured all this one here. So you can just take a look at all this and configure. But here I'm going to say create. I'm going to change this to create for a moment so that we can create our entity in our database. And here, this one is the name of the database, right? So this is the port, the server port. This one is the URL to the database. And make sure the name, this database actually exists in your system. The name of this schema exists in your database. Okay. So now, having done this, we're going to run this project and see what we got. So if there's any mistake, we can always fix as we go along. So now I'm going to close these two and just leave this open because I'm going to come here in a moment. So now let's hit the run and see what we got so far. Okay, so we can see that our project has been created and started successfully. Let's move to here, and here if we refresh, let me refresh, and we see that here we have this already. So here is our student table created here, right, in our database. So now the table is empty. So let's go back to IntelliJ. I'm going to close this down. So let's go back to Postman and actually test our endpoints. So for that, I'm going to create what happened. You can take this action when you're back online. Oh, my network is going crazy. Okay, so let me check my network. I'll get back. Okay guys, so the problem actually was my network. That was the reason why I could not connect to Postman. So now, like here, we're just going to create a new collection. Here, now this collection, I'm just going to give it a name of just like the name of our project or demo, like some Spring Boot React, right? So I'm going to say SBR. So that should be the name of the collection. And inside this collection, we're going to create a folder. Here, let me just create a folder. This folder is called student, right? And now we're going to, the first thing we're going to do here is to issue. So let me just close this down and close this and also close this. So let's issue a new request. So what we're just going to do here is to get, issue a request to get every student we are having from our database. So this one here is the endpoint, like we declare here, right? Students. This one here, so students. So now we are going to try to get every student in our database, and we know that our database is empty, right? So let's see how it goes. So right here we have an empty array because there is nothing in our database. So for that, now I'm going to save. So let's save this to our collections. So just going to say save as here. And this one here, I'm going to choose this collection and I'm going to choose this folder. And I'm going to rename this as get all students. So this one is get all students. So this is the name of this request. Now the beauty of this is that if anytime we want to get students, anytime we want to execute this request, we don't need to write it manually anymore. We just type this and we get the full configured endpoints URL. So the next one we're going to do here, we're going to try to create a new student. So here we change this to post, and we go to the body, and we go to raw, and we go to JSON. So what we just need to do here is to create a student object, right? So here our student has first name and first, okay, I'll just put column here. So we have our student has first name, and so I'm just going to copy this and paste a couple of times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is that correct? Okay, I'm supposed to paste 3. So now we're just going to change this to last name, and our student actually has an email, and they also have departments, like so. So I'm going to remove the last one here and remove this. So now the first user we're going to create here is Simpson, and the last name here is going to be Alfred, and the email here is going to be simp@email.com, and the last one here is going to be software engineering, right? So this guy here is in the department of software engineering. So now let's hit on post and see what we got. All right, so here we have gotten a user we have gotten one user in the database. So what I'm just going to do here is to save. Let's save this as so here we're going to say add a new student, right? A new student. So now we click on this. So right here we have got to request, right? So now the next one we're going to, so now let's try it again and get every student from our database. So now we have one student already. So now if we go here again to post, let's post another student here, the body here. So I'm going to change this to Juliet. Juliet Maxine, Juliet Maxine, and Juliet also is going to have an email like Juliet@email.com, and she is in accounting department, right? So here we just hit on save, and now we got 2 users here. So what we're just going to do here, we're going to test. So let's test the updates, right? To update a user here. So before then, let's try to fetch all the users we have from the database. So here, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not creating. Actually, I'm not creating. This is what I wanted to do here. So I'm getting every student from the database. So we have a student number 1 and a student number 2, right? So now let's try to update this user number 1, right? So for that, I'm going to copy this info. I'm going to copy this student information. I keep saying user. It's not user, it's student, right? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for confusing you guys. So now I'm going to go back to the body and JSON, raw and JSON. And right here, I'm going to paste the information here, the student info. So here, I'm just going to push back a little. Okay, push back a little and push back a little, like so. So now this one here, according to the path, we're going to, I think, let's check the path, the controller, update user. What is the output here? Okay, update, and so have student/update/ the ID, right? So let's go back here. So here we have student, and here we're going to have the update, and here the ID. So the ID of this student is 1, right? Simpson is 1. So now let's change the name from Simpson to Simp, for example, Simp, right? And let's save. Let's try the update. This one here we're going to change to put, which is the update method, right? So now let's save. This was synced successfully. So here we see that the name has been changed from Simpson to Simp. Let's confirm it by getting every users from the database. This one is get all users. Let's get all users here and send. So here we have that this guy's name has been changed, right? So I'm going to save this so we don't have confusion. Save this because this one is get. So now let's go back to this put, which is the update. So here we have a mistake here already. We're going to correct it in a moment. So now I'm going to save this request as update request. So let me say save as update student. So let's say update student, right? So I just hit on this. Now get all users. Add this one here, supposed to be a post method, right? Because this one is actually adding a new user, so it's a post. So let's save it as post right here. So now we have tested 3 endpoints. We have tested the get all users, we have tested post, and we've tested update. So now let's test get one user from the database. So right here I'm going to change this again to get. And students, oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep saying users. Guys, forgive me, you just have to forgive me. I don't know what to do right now. So now we have a student with ID number 2. So let's try to see if we actually have a student with ID number 2 in our database. So let's hit this. Cool. So here we have a student with ID number 2, right? Juliet. So I'm going to save this again, save as. Save as. This one is going to be get a student by ID. Get a student by ID. So we just save this here and we have this get here. And now I think 1, 2, 3, okay, the delete. So let's try to delete a user. So before then, I'm just going to hit on this request and let's get every users we got from the database. This one is post. Sorry. Let's get every users from the database. Get all users here. So here we have 2 users, 1 and 2 users. So let's quickly test the delete. So here we're going to have /delete, right? Delete and / the ID of the user we want to delete. So let me pass the user ID 1 to be deleted. So here we're going to change the method to delete method, right? So having done this, we're just going to hit on send, and this seems successfully. So let's get all users. But before then, let's save this. Let's just save this here as delete endpoint, right? So here we're going to say delete a student, right? Delete a student. And by, let's say by ID, delete student by ID. So we're going to save. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have tested our 5 endpoints, and we'll see that everything is working. So here, so let me close. I want to just close this, close all, right? So now let's get every users from our database to confirm that that user was actually deleted. So let's get every users. So here we have only 1 user, right? Now there is something I want to show you guys. So for example, right now, if I want to let me try to get a user that doesn't exist in our database, right? So get a user with ID number 5, for example, because we know here, right? If we go to our SQL, my SQL workbench, if we see here, we have just 1 student here, the one we've deleted, the one that is remaining here is Juliet, right? That's what we have here. Now, if we go back here right now, I want to try to get a student with ID number 5, and we see that this student does not exist. Sorry, it's no student found with ID number 5, right? You can see this error message here. Now, this one here is as a result of the exception. Of the exception we created last time, these classes we created last time, user student not found, right? This message. And if we go back to our student service, we are going to see that when a student is not found by ID, then we say, sorry, no student found with the ID number 5, this number here. So that is what is showing here right now, right? Now, I actually did this. Let me just open up this exception class for you. So this is the general exception class where I configure this exception, this one here. Now there's a video. If you want to know more about exception handling, REST exception handling in Spring Boot, there's a video right here in our channel here in Daily Code Work here that talks about where we make a demo of how to handle REST API exception in Spring Boot. So there's a video. I'm going to leave the link of this video down below, so you can actually watch that video to actually get the insight or have the idea on how to handle exception in Spring Boot REST API. So this one here, this is the exception class here. You can see that here we are using a REST controller advice, right? And these are the exception what we've defined here already. So just take your time to watch that video. You're going to benefit from it. Okay. So now we can see that our everything is working fine. So now let me try to delete a user that doesn't exist. You remember we set a message here that when a user is about to be deleted, where is the service? We set a message here that when a user is about to be deleted, we actually go to the database to find the user. If such a user, a student, if such a student, guys, forgive me. I work with users every day. I'm really sorry about that. So now we want to check that if that student is actually in existence in the database first. So if that student does not exist, then we come out with this message that the user cannot be found, right? The student cannot be found. Then else, if the student is found, then we should actually delete it from the database, right? Okay, and right here, if we go back here to Postman, and now I'm trying to delete a user that doesn't exist. Remember, we have deleted a user with ID number 1, right? So if I get all users from here, you see that we only have 1 user with ID number 2. So we don't have a user with ID number 1 here. So I'm just going to delete this user. So now we have the message that sorry, student not found, because there's no student with a user with ID number 1, right? So now you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have tested our 5 API, and everything is working. Our 5 endpoints in our student API, and everything is working as expected, right? So now this brings us to the end of the back end development for our demo. So next, now we are going to move to the front end, where we're going to start building our front end with ReactJS to actually consume our API at the front end. So let's get started. All right, so now we are going to continue our project with our front end development with React. So some of the things you just need to have for you to follow up this front end development are these. So the first thing you need to do is you need to check your system to make sure that Node.js is installed in your system. So if you are not sure of Node.js in your system, you can just open your command line, or you can, if you have Git bash installed on your system, you can just open. So what you just need to do here is to type node, and you just type node and you space -- version. So for you to check node version. So if node is installed on your machine, by running this command, you're going to see the version of node that is running on your machine. So if node is not installed on your machine, no problem. So you can just go to the website. You can just go to the website here to Node.js here. You can go here to actually download Node.js and install on your machine. So if you're using Windows, you can choose this. If you're using this, just choose the version, the distribution that matches your machine, right? So by just going to nodejs.org download, or you can just simply type download on Node.js install on Google, then you're going to bring to this page. Then you select the proper distribution to actually install on your machine, right? So after that, what you just need to do, what you need to have more is you just need a basic knowledge of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. But just basic. But if you don't have knowledge of JavaScript, no problem. You can still follow up with this demo. But if you have the basic knowledge, it will be easier for you to actually understand what we're doing. Okay. So having said this, we are going to move straight to VS Code. This project, we are going to be using VS Code to run this project, right? To do this for our front end development. You know, we use IntelliJ for our back end, but right now we're going to use VS Code for our front end. So as you can see here, I've already created an empty folder here, right? So if you have not done this, you can just go to open file. Just click on file and open folder. You click on this open folder, and you're going to be taken to a directory. You just choose a directory in your machine where you want to save. Just create a new folder and just save the name and select that folder. So for example, I have selected this folder, and just select folder, and it will open with VS Code, right? So now using Windows, I'm going to press Command and the back tick to actually open the terminal, right? The command line of VS Code. So right now we can see that we are right here in this in our directory. All right. So using Windows, I'm just going to press the Control key and the back tick to open a new terminal right here in our VS Code. So now you can see that we are right here in our directory. So what we're just going to do here is to create a brand new React app in this directory. So for that, we're just going to say npx create -react -app, right? So I haven't write this. We're going to specify the name of our app. Remember, our back end was SBR, right? So now our front end is going to be SBR client, like so. So we're going to say client, like so, and then we're going to just we're going to hit on enter. And now we're going to wait for some seconds. So when the app finishes creating, then we're going to come back to continue our journey. All right, so we can see that our project has been generated. So what we're just going to do here is to cd into our project folder and run this command here, npm start, to actually run our project. So what we're just going to do here is to cd and sb and tab. So then we're going to run the npm start, like so. So in a few seconds, we're going to see our project. We're going to view our project on the browser and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's wait for a few seconds while this project actually built. Okay, so here we can see that our project has started successfully right here. So what we're just going to do here is to go to the browser to actually view our project. So now we see that our new project has been created, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is to go back to our VS Code. And now let's open up our project folder right here. Let's open up, and so I'm just going to remove this for now. So here, let's open up our source folder. We are going to clear our directory, our source folder, right? So we're going to remove all these things that we're not going to need. So I'm just going to hold the shift down and click on these 3 files, then just press the delete key and just to remove them all. And also I'm going to remove this app.test because we're not going to be doing this right now in this demo, right? So now let's open up our project, our app.js file. So right here, what I'm just going to do here is to I'm going to clear everything within the div. Just going to clear off everything within here. Now, for now, well, we're going to come back here. So let's go to this here, index.js. So going to our index.js, we're going to here, what is happening here? Supposed to, okay, cool. So now let's actually clear off all these things that we are not using, and let's remove all this import of the files that we've deleted, so we don't have problems. So we're going to run our project. Okay, so here also we're going to remove this import, this logo import from our app.js. So now what we're just going to do here is to return let's just return a regular h2 tag. Let's just say hello, or maybe say welcome. Let's say welcome to our front end, welcome to our front end, right? And let's just save all. I'm just going to enter here and save all, right? So let's go back to our browser and view our updates. So right here, if we go here and it's reloading, you can see it's reloading, and here we have welcome to our front end, right? Okay, so let's go back to VS Code and continue our journey. So for now, I'm going to close this index.js because we don't really have much to do with this file. So now we're just going to close this down, and let's go in here. So to start with, we're going to create a folder inside this source directory, and this folder we're going to call a component, right? Component. Sorry, this is component, right? And now we're just going to hit on enter, and inside this component we're going to create another folder called student, because we're going to be using student because our front is student, right? Our front end, our back end, the entity we use in our back end is student. So right here we're going to create a folder called student inside our component folder, right? And having done this, inside here, inside our source folder here, I'm going to create a file called home. So here I'm just going to say home.js, right? Like so, home.js, and we are going just to press the enter key. And now there's something I forgot to tell you. So before we move on, I would like you to just go to your extensions here, right here, and type in ES7 snippet, like so. So now you're going to see this one here, this very one here. So you're going to see React ES7 React Redux Graph React JS snippet, this one here. So make sure this one is enabled. Try to enable this on your machine, because it's going to help us for free code generation, right? To generate code for us. And also I will encourage you to test to check for prettier. So prettier here is going to help us to format our code, right? This is a code formatter. So anytime you can just enable this, and you can just go in here, the settings, and go to the extension settings, and you can just set anything you want to set here. For example, if you want prettier to format your code on save, for example, you can just go here. So here, format on save. Make sure this one here is thick, right, is tick. And just try to autosave. You can make autosave. If you want it to autosave, you can just choose anything you want here, maybe after delay, maybe a few seconds, or maybe when you lose focus, when the focus change or windows change, it will save. Which means this one here, it means if you are on one page, and when you switch to another page, this page is going to automatically save. So just explore. Just want you to explore all this here and choose the one that you really want to do, and just choose everything here. So for now, autosave, I'm just going to choose right now. I would prefer to save manually for some reasons for now, but you can just choose, you can just explore all the settings and actually choose the one that is appropriate for your need, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to close this down. So let's continue. I'm going to close this one as well. So now the first thing we're going to do here, after enabling that ES7 snippet, so what we're just going to do here, I'm going to go back here. So now remember, we have created a home component right here. So what we're just going to do here with the help of that snippet, we're just going to say RAFCE, just like this, RAFCE. So we're going to have this extension is going to generate a code snippet for us. So after typing this, now just press the tab key like so, and you are going to have this automatically generated for you, right? So right here, I'm just going to put for now, I'm just going to put H2. No, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. Ctrl Z. Yeah, this is not what I want to do. So I'm going to enter between this div here and enter H2 tag right here. And we're just going to say welcome to our, or maybe welcome to the home page. So we're just going to say my system is freezing actually, but I'm going to solve this after this demo. So we're just going to say welcome to the home. Welcome to the home page, like so. So we just say welcome to the home page, and here we're going to save. Now for us to actually see this here, I'm going to go back to the app.js. So instead of, so I'm just going to put this under here. So we're going to have the home component we just created. We're just going to import it here and just close it. So now when we save and go back to check our update in our browser, and let's see what we got. So right here we have welcome to our front end. This one is coming from the app.js, and welcome to our home page. This one is coming from the home component, right? Okay, good. So now let's move on. So right now we don't have much to do right here in the home page right now. So I'm just going to close this down. So right now we are going to actually dig into our project. We're going to dig into our application to actually start fetching data from the front end, right? So now the next thing we're going to do here, the very first thing we're going to do here is to go here to the student. We have a student folder here, right? We have a student folder here. But what I'm just going to do here, I'm going to I really want to, okay, I'm going to create another folder here called common, right? Inside this as well, I'm going to create a folder called yes, common. I'm going to call this one common folder. So that is going to hold the components that are common to our to all our pages, right? So here I'm going to hit enter. Now we're coming to this student folder. I'm going to right click on this student folder, or either right click on create a new file, or just click on it here and go here to create a new file, right? So this one I'm going to call student view, right? Student view. So let's say S here, because this is the page that is going to display all the students we have in our back end. So this one I'm going to say .js, like so. So now what we're just going to do, we are going to go to that shortcut again and actually hit on tab to actually get this for us. So now we have created our student view. So the next thing we're going to do here, we are going to actually create a table here to display that will display all our students from our database, right? So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to change this one to section. So for example, if I want to change this right now, I just click on this and remove this, right, and change this to section, like so. right? But now doing this one here, we still have the one we're still going to come here to type it one by one after the other, but we don't want to do that. So now I'm going to click on Ctrl Z like so. Then now I'm going to double click on this. Using Windows, I'm going to hold down the control key and press the D key, letter D, that's D for dog, right? The D key. This one now, you press the D, depends on the amount of the number of things you want to change at the same time. So you press that D. But now I just press this D for once, and now you see that these two divs here has gotten focus. So now I'm just going to backspace to remove this, and I'm going to return the section like so, and just escape. Just press the escape key to escape from this. So now we are returning a section from here. So inside this section, we're going to build our table, right? So now let's get a table here. So we have a table, and inside this table, we're going to have a table head, right? Like so. This is just normal HTML table, right? So here we have a table, and inside this table head, we're going to have the table row, like so, right? Then inside this table row, we're going to have the table head as usual, like th, like so, right? So now I'm going to duplicate this one a couple of times. So I'm just going to put my console here, the blanket console here, and using Windows, I'm going to press the Shift and Alt together, Shift and Alt together, and use the down key, the down arrow, to actually duplicate this according to the number of times I want, right? So using Windows, again, you press down the Shift and Alt key together at once, and then you hold the down arrow to actually go down to duplicate the line that you want to duplicate. In a couple of times you want to duplicate it, right? So here I'm going to have the ID of the student. So the second one here, we're going to have the first name, and the next one here, we're going to have the last name, like so. And the next, we're going to have the email. So this one here, we're doing here according to the attribute we set for the users, right? So now we're going to have the department, like so. This is department, like so. Then now the next one here, we're going to have it as actions, where we can perform some of the actions like delete, update, and view, and so on and so forth. So here we're going to have this. So now, having done this, we're going to go out of the head and come to the table body, like so. So I'm just going to say TB, which is table body, like so, and we're going to close it. And inside this table body, we're going to also have a row, right? We're going to have table row inside here, like so. So we're going to have table row, T arrow, like so. And inside this table row, we're going to have our table data, right? So which is like TD, the TD tag, like so, TD tag, like so, right? So now, inside this TD here, this is where we actually want to display our users info right here, right? So here we're going to display our user info. So the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to find a way. Now we have structured down this, we have put down the structure of our table, right? So the next thing we're going to do here is to actually find a way to get the users from our back end, which is from the database, right? So for that, we're going to create a state variable here. We're going to create a state variable. So we'll say const here. So this one here, we're going to call students. So this variable is an array, and we're going to create a method that we actually update this array for us, right? So we're going to say set student, like so. Then now we are going to use a React hook called useState to actually initialize this, to an empty array for a start, like so, right? So what we just did here is that we are creating an array. This one here is an array, it calls a state variable, right? It's an array. So now we are using the hook, the React hook called useState, to actually initialize this variable to an empty array at the initial state. So now this one here, this method here, we are going to use this method to update this variable as we go along this project, right? So I'm going to save to get proper format. So now, having done this, now we are going to move down to our table, right? Having done this, we are going to move down to our table body here to actually find a way to get all our users from the database. So for that, we're going to come here, and now I'm just going to put the curly braces and say students, which is the student we define up there. So we're going to map each student to each. We're going to map each student to one row, right? Every student to one row. So here we're just going to say map, and now inside here we're going to declare, we're going to have the student. So this one we are doing here is just like when you're doing Java, it's just like for student is student, or for student is student, student equals to, just like that. So now we're going to get this index like so, and here we're going to return just like we said. So what we try to do here is that for every, this is the array we are using here right now. So for every student in here, we're going to create a row for each student, right? So for that, we're going to copy this one here, not copy actually, we're going to just cut it here and paste it in here like so. And I'm going to give space. You can see that when I paste a code, it automatically get formatted. That is the work of Prettier. So you can actually set your VS Code to do all this for you, just like what we've gone through in a few minutes ago, right? So now the next we're going to do here actually is to set this row here to the student ID. So we're just going to say key. So we're going to say key. This key here is going to be the student ID, right? Student.id. Like so, student.id. Now, having set this row to student.id, now which means that every row here, this one is going to be the student ID in the row. But now we need a means to actually increment this ID according to, because this one is going to be this is the variable that's going to hold the student ID, right? So now we are going to start incrementing this now according to the number of students in here. For example, if the first student is 1, the second one is going to be 2, going to be 3, 4, 4, like that. That is the ID. So now we are going to find means to increment this one here. So for that, we are going to have the th tag here, like so. And now we're going to set this th to scope of row. We're going to set this scope to a row, so it's going to occupy a row, right? And now in here we're going to set the key. We're going to set the key of this one here to the index, which is the key we created up there, which is the index, like so. And now, having done this, now we're going to come inside the body here. We're going to break this down inside the body to actually increment this index by 1 for each iteration. So we say index like so plus 1, right? For each iteration, which means now for each iteration of this, which is for student in student, just like that, we iterate through. So for each iteration, we're going to increment this one here. That's increment the student ID, which is the index, by 1, right? The index by 1. That's what we're trying to do here right now. Now, having done this, now we're going to actually come down here to display our users, right? So the first one here we have is the user, student. Sorry for using users, because I've been using users all the time. So here we have student dot first name. This one is going to get the first name of the student, right? Like so, student dot first name. So now I'm going to duplicate this one a couple of times. So using Windows, once again, using Windows, we're going to press down the Shift and Alt and use my down arrow to duplicate this one a couple of times, right? So now we're going to change this one here. Just double click this and change this to the last name, and this one is going to be the email, say lower key email, and this one is going to be the department, right? Like so. So we're going to have the department. Oh no, this is not what I want to do. Just control Z. Yeah, department, like so. Okay. So right now we are going to we're going to clear this off. We'll clear this off, and I'm going to remove this from here. So this one's going to be our action keys. So now I'm going to the first one here. We're going to be view, right? Like view students. And one more time, I'm going to push this down, and this one I'm going to say update, and this one here I'm going to say delete, like so, right? Delete, like so. Okay, so I'm going to save this one here. So for this one we have done here. Now we have successfully iterated. We have iterated through our student the student variables here, which is the student array, to actually get every student on our table, right? So now what we're just going to do here, we're going to create a method that will actually load the students from the database for us, right? So for that, we're going to for us to make a REST call, to our backend, we're going to install a library called Axios. So here right now, I'm going to once again, I'm going to control and backtick to open up our terminal. Now we can see that this terminal is running, and I don't want to stop this. I just want it to run continuously. So now I'm going to open a new terminal here just by clicking on this plus here. So opening here like this, we're going to have a new terminal, and now we're going to cd into our project and enter. So here we're going to just to install. Let's go to browser to see what we are trying to install right here. So here we're going to install this library here called Axios. This one here. Axios. So just say npm install Axios. So this one here we can just copy like so, or we can just go back to our project and just type it manually, right? So here we're just going to say npm I for shortcut for install, then we just say Axios like so, right? And hit enter. So this one is actually going to install Axios for us. So we are going to pause video we're going to pause this video for a while. So when Axios finish installing, then we're going to come back to continue our journey. Okay, so we see that Axios has finished installing, and now if we go back here, I'm going to pull this down for now. So if we go back to our package.json, we're going to see that Axios has been installed for us. This one here, it has been installed for us. So now I'm just going to close it down again. So we're going to come back to our student view and actually make use of this Axios. So we're going to import. The first thing we're going to do here is to import Axios, right? So we're going to say import Axios from Axios, like so, from Axios, like so. Now we're going to go down here. To create a method that will actually do the loading for us. So for that, we're going to create a method here. So I'm going to say const load. I'm going to call this method load students, right? Sorry, I'm going to apologize for something here. You hear me always. I always mistakenly saying users. Sorry for confusing you. It's a kind of confusion, but meanwhile, because I'll be using, I always in our daily code work in the office, we always work with users every time like that. So most times, and most of our demos on this channel, we always talk about users. So this users of a thing actually has gone deep into my mouth, right? So anytime you hear me saying users, I'm actually talking about students, right? Please pardon me for that. Forgive me. So here we're just going to say async. So what we're doing here right now is actually we are trying to create a method that will load our users from the database and actually display right here in the browser, right? Okay, so in here now we're going to create a variable to actually hold the result of this Ajax call, of this Axios of this REST call, so to speak, right? So here I'm just going to say result equals await And now we're going to make use of the Azios that we have just installed and import here, right here. So we're going to say Azios.get. So we're going to say Azios.get, and here we're going to say double quote. So for now, we are going to go to Postman to actually get the URL to get all users from the database, right? All right, so let's go to Postman to actually get the URL to get all users from the database. So if you remember last time when we were testing the back end, this is the collection we created for our application, and this is the user, and this one here are the endpoint in our users, and here are the URL. So here I'm just going to click on this and copy. So we're going to copy this one here and go back to VS Code and actually paste this one here. Where is it? So we're going to paste it here, just like so, right? I'm going to paste it here, and now having done this here, we're going to set the user. We're going to actually update, because right now we are iterating this array here right now, but there's no data in here right now. So now we are going to actually update. We are going to set we're going to update this user by using this method we created to actually populate, to load our data from the back end inside this one here, so we can have something to actually display on the table. So have said that, now we're just going to come here to say set student. So we're just going to say set student like so, and we're going to say result.data, right? Result.data like so. So we're going to say set user result.data. Okay, so now we are successfully implemented the method to actually help us load the student from our back end. Now if you look here, we see that this method here it has not been highlighted because we have not actually called it. We have not started using it, right? So for us to actually use this method for us to actually load this user into our student array, so we're going to use another React hook called use effect. Right, this one here, use effect. And if you go up here, you see that here, let's go here, you see that this one here is actually import from the same library, right? So all the hooks are imported from the same library, just like so. So the next thing we're going to do here is to actually return. We are going to actually return the method, which is the method that is loading the function that is loading the user, the student, from the database. So we'll say return load students like so, and this one is a method. And now we're going to pass in an empty array here. To this one means when the project load, when the project get loaded, this one is good. This run use effect is going to run once, actually, to load our student from our data from the back end, right? So now let's save. So I think this is what we just need to do to get our student from our back end. So now let's go back to our browser to actually see. Let's make sure IntelliJ is running. Let's make sure our back end is running before we actually test this application. Okay, so now our back end is not running. I remember something right here. This is the controller. So here we have already created our front end here to actually consume this API, right? This endpoint, like so. But now we have to give permission. We have to take permission from our back end for this front end to be able to consume the data. So I almost forget. So for now, we're just going to come back here to, where is it? Okay, so we're going to come back here to use the cross origin annotation, like so. And now we are going to specify the HTTP, that's the server port. The server port of our backend we're going to specify here, which is 3000, right? Which is the our front end server we're going to specify here. So which is localhost, this localhost 3000, right? 3000. So this is our server from this is the address of our client that is requesting to consume this our back end. So now having done this, now we're just going to run IntelliJ, which is going to start. We're going to run our back end so that we can have something to consume in the front end, right? So let's wait until this one is finished. Okay, so right here we can see that our project has started running. IntelliJ is running already. So now we're going to just swing over to the front end because we have nothing to do right here right now. So now we're going to swing over to our front end. Now let's go to our browser. Actually, let's go to our browser to see what we have gotten in our browser. And here, this is our app. So this one is loading. Oh, sorry. Okay, we have not presented this. For us to actually see this, we are going to go to our component here to actually present this to our component. So instead of this home page, yes, I'm just going to put it, I'm still going to leave the home page here first, but now we're going to actually present our component here, which is student view here, and like so. So let's save and let's go back to our browser to see our new updates here. So let's reload. Okay, all right, here, so we are having, let me see what is happening here. So here we have a kind of error. We have an error message, status code 302. So let's see what is happening here. Let's reload. Let's reload. Okay, so here we have request failed for status code 302. Okay, let's solve this problem quickly in let's go back to our VS Code. So now let's go back here. So what we're just going to do here is we are going to do something here to quickly check for that status code, right? So here I'm going to have curly braces here and go down here. So here we're going to validate state, validate status, like so. And now we're going to set this to a function, and we are going to always return. We want to let this function to always return on true, like so. So just say return. We're going to talk a little bit about this later. Return true, like so. Okay, so now having done this, now we're going to come down here to actually check for that status code. So here we're going to say if, like so. So if result, we're going to check the result, the status code the status of that result, right? So if result.status equals 3, that code that was shown in the browser. So we're just going to allow it to display the data for us. So let's cut this one here and put it in here, like so, right? So now let's actually save this and go back to our browser to see what we got this time around. So here we actually, let's refresh. We're going to see that the error has gone away here. Okay, good. So now you see that the error is gone, and our table, you will see that we actually got all our users from our database, right? These are the 4 users we got in our database, right? So if we confirm this from from SQL Workbench and just refresh this database, so we'll see that we have 4 students here: Simpson, Gina, Hannah, and others, right? So that is what we actually have here right now. So the next step, in our next step, we're going to install Bootstrap, and we're going to fine tune our table to make it look good, right? Okay, let's go in and get it done. So right now I'm going to open our terminal, right? So I'm going to press down the control key and the back tick to actually open our terminal. So right here we're going to install Bootstrap. So here we're just going to say npm install I for shortcut of install. Then we'll say bootstrap, and we're going to say -- save, right, to actually save it to our dependencies, right? So npm install bootstrap --save. So we just hit on enter, and this is going to take a while to install. So we're just going to zoom away, and when it's finished installation, we're going to come back here to continue our journey. Okay, so now we see that Bootstrap has been installed. So if we go back to, I'm just going to zip this down. So if we go back to our package.json, we see that we're going to see, okay, here. So we see right here that Bootstrap has been installed in our system. So I'm just going to close this down, and we go back to our student view. So what we're just going to do here is to actually make our table look nice a little bit, right? So I'm going to come here to the table. So I'm just going to say table, I'm just going to say class. We're going to set some classes here. So we're going to say class name, like so. So take note that here name, like so. Now take note of this one here. You know, in a regular HTML, we just have the class, right? We just write class equal. But now in React, we don't write class, we write class name, right? Take note of that. So here we're gonna have the table like so, and the table, and here we have the table bordered like so. And right here we're going to have again another one called table hover. We're just trying to make the table look a little bit beautiful, so we just say table hover like so, hover, right? And now the next one we're going to do here, we're going to come to our row to actually centralize. We're going to centralize all the data we got there. So we're going to say class name one more time. So take note of this class name. So we're going to say text center, text center like so, to actually centralize all this one here. So now we are going to go to our table body to also centralize what we got in our table body. So here we're going to say class name, we're going to say text center like so, text center like so. And now I haven't done this, so the next one we're going to do here is to actually save. And now I'm just going to use this opportunity to do something to our buttons, right? So now what we're just going to do here is to come here. Where is it? So this one here, we remember that this one is actions, and our actions, we have 1, 2, 3 columns that are here. So we're going to span this to actually cover these 3 columns, right? So we just here column span. Here we span this column to 3. So just put it a regular string 3 like so, right? So this one here is going to cover these 3 columns. So what I'm just going to do here, the next thing we're going to do here is to actually come to our buttons like so. And this one here, we're going to give a kind of margin, right? So the margin so that we're just going to set the margin so that it gives space from each other, right? So we're just going to say class name here, class name, and this one we're going to set the mx, we're going to set it to 2, which is the margin x, so to 2, and this one also is going to be the same, class name like so. So we're going to set the margin to 2, and just the same vein, we're going to just go here to the third one and also set it to 2 like so. Now having done this, the next one I'm going to do here, we're going to put button here. We're going to try to make this one button, right? So now I'm going to go in here. Let's go in here. So for that, we're going to have so we're going to create a button component in here like so, right? Button, and this button here, we're just going to give a class. So we're going to give it a class name of button, which this one is which one is this? This one is view, right? The button view. So we're going to give it a class name. Class name here, these are bootstrap classes, so we're just going to give the class of button btn info. We're going to say this one as info, right? And then having done this one here, we're just going to close it like so, and we're going to move this one here, this view here, we're going to move it inside between the button tags here. We're going to move it inside like so, right? And the next one here, this one is update, so we're going to set this update to warning, right? So we're going to go here. Meanwhile, I'm just going to copy this button like so, just copy it because they're the same thing, and the same thing we're going to do here. In here like so. I'm going to let this one be like so. So I'm going to remove this for now, and now I'm going to put button within here, and this one we're going to change. This is view, right? So we're going to change this one to warning. So we're just going to change this to warning like so, and this one we're going to change to update. This one is update, like so, update. And the last one here also we're going to do the same thing. So here I'm going to also paste this button here, but this time around this one is going to be danger, because this one is delete, right? So we're going to set it as danger. Here we're going to just put delete. We're going to put delete like so, right? Okay. So now for this effect to take place, what we just need to do, we're going to import. So let's save. So we're going to go to our app.js. We're going to import Bootstrap. That the Bootstrap we just entered, we're going to install it. Sorry, we're going to import it right here, right? So sorry. Okay, system is hanging. Okay, so let's try to import. Let's import the Bootstrap that we just installed. So let's say import here. Yes, import, and here we're going to say like so dot this node modules. So here we're going to say bootstrap like so, and here we're going to go to the distribution folder, and inside the distribution we're going to go to CSS like so. Then inside the CSS we're going to go back to Bootstrap. So we're going to choose the bootstrap.me.css. So we're just going to say bootstrap.me, the minify version .css. So we're going to choose this one here, this minify version here. We're just going to tab to choose it, right? And now I'm still going to need the version, I'm going to need, so we're going to copy this down. So I'm going to need the JavaScript version of this. So now we're going to say JS, and here also we're going to change it to JS to get the JavaScript version of this one here. But meanwhile, they are not in the same directory, so we're going to remove this dot here. So let's save this. So now let's go back to our front end, to our browser to see the changes we have made reflect, right? So let's go back to our browser to see if the changes, if there's any error there. So here, okay, we see that our table is taking shape, right? So it's loading. So now we can see that our table is taking shape gradually, like so. Okay, so our table is taking shape. So I'm going to remove this for now, right? So the next thing we're going to do here, before we move further, we're going to add a nav bar here, right? We're going to add a nav bar, and we can see that this table is spanning across the whole page. So we're going to contain this table inside the container, and we're going to put a nav bar here so we can actually navigate to different direction in our project, right? Okay, so let's move in and get it done. The first thing we're going to do here, I'm going to close this one for a moment, and now we're going to create a new. We're going to come into this command folder we created last time. Where's the command folder? This one here. So we're going to right click on this, and we're just going to click on it and create a new component here, a new file, and this one we're going to call nav bar. We're going to call this one navbar.js, like so, right? And just hit enter. And here we're just going to say our shortcut to actually generate our component for us, like so. So the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to go. Let's borrow some code from Bootstrap, right? So let's go to the browser. So just go to get Bootstrap and go here. Just go to get Bootstrap. This is Bootstrap 5.3. So here I got the navbar here. So what I'm just going to do here is to copy this navbar here and go back to our code editor. So what I'm just going to do here is to remove this from here and actually paste our own code, the code we borrowed from Bootstrap. So we'll post it here. Now we're going to edit this one to actually suit our purpose, right? So now the first thing I'm going to change here is the name of our application. So I'm just going to say Spring Boot React. What is the name? Demo, right? Okay, Spring Boot React Demo. So just I'm going to say demo app. Let's just say Spring Boot React demo app. Let me not waste time here. okay, let's say Spring Boot React demo. Let's just say demo, like so. This one is okay. demo. Okay, this one is like so. And now we're going to come back here to, we're going to come here to actually put this one here. So this one, we're going to say view all students. This is going to say view all students. Maybe I should just capitalize it, but it's not really, doesn't matter. So capitalize it. And this one here, we're going to have add new students, like so. Add new students. This is AND. Add new students, like so. And now we don't actually need this one. We don't need this two here. So we're going to clean this up. We're going to remove these two from here, and these are the only two we need, right? So we need just these two. So now, for now, we're going to set the link of these ones here. But for us to start setting our links, we're going to install another library, right? Another library. With this library here, that will actually help us to route our application, right? So okay, so for now, we're going to start setting our link here. So we're going to change all this link to React link. So for us to do that, we're going to install a library called React Router DOM, right? So now we're just going to control and backtick on Windows, come back to our terminal. So now we're just going to say npm, or I can just show, we can just look at it here on the browser. It's here. So we have the React DOM here. This one here is the React DOM. The React router DOM. This is the code we're going to execute here. So you can just copy, or you can just go to your code editor to actually type it manually, right? So here I'm just going to paste it here and hit on enter, like so. And we're going to wait for a few seconds. So why this one install? So when it finishes installation, we're going to come back here to start our journey. Okay, so we can see that this application has this library has been installed. So let's go and confirm it in our package.json. So if we just go here in our package.json to confirm, so right here we can see that we have React router DOM has been installed for us, right? Okay, so let's close this down. So let's go back to our navbar. So for us to start using this React DOM, we're going to import. So we're going to change some things here. So this one here, instead of this A here, we're going to change this one to link, right? So we're just going to say link, like so, link. And we're going to come back here. We're going to come down here to also say link. We're going to change this one to link, right? Like so. And now our link is not auto import. So what we're just going to do here is to import this link, like so. Import, yes, import. So this one we're going to put with curly braces. We're going to say link, import link from React DOM. So we'll say this from React. This one here, we're going to import it from here, right? And now what we're just going to do here is to come here to change this. So this href, we're going to set it to tool. So we're going to say to, that's link to where, right? Link to where. So this one here, we're going to set this one to our home page, like so. So now we set this one to our home page. So when this one is clicked, it's going to go back to the home page, right? And now let's go here. Let's go back here to do the same thing here. This one here, we're just going to change this A to link, like so. And this one we change also to link, right? So now we're going to use the tool here as well. So the tool, and we're going to set this one like so. So now where is this one linking to? So this one is view all students. So we're just going to say view students, right? View students. So this one here is we're going to put this one slash. So these are the links that when we click on this, we're going to go to the view student view component, right? And now the last one we're going to do here is this. So we're going to change this one also to link, like so. This one is link, not a link. Yeah, we're going to change it to link, and we go down here also to change the partner, the closing tag to link as well. So here we're going to change this one also to tool, right? So we change it to tool, and we say now this one is add students, so we're going to say add students. We're going to define all these links later. We've not defined them, but we're going to define them. So we're going to say add students, right? So now I'm just going to, for some reasons, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to just write this one into curly braces like so, though it will work without curly braces for some condition. There are some conditions where you have to add curly braces, but I just want to add curly braces to avoid some confusion in the future. So now let's actually save this one here. Okay, so our navbar is almost ready, right? But what I'm just going to do here is to, let's go down here. So this is our home page, and this is our student view. So I'm going to clear off these two here. I'm going to clear off this home page and this. So now I'm going to actually put our navbar here. I'm going to put our navbar here, navbar, so we see how it looks like. So we'll say navbar. I'm just going to close it here. So now let's save and go to the browser to see our update, if you have gotten a navbar or not. So here, let's go here to see. Oh my gosh, we have base property cannot, base property cannot, okay, base property cannot use content, it's none. Okay, because of the link ref. Okay, now what we just need, we want to do here is to let's go back to our editor. So going back to our editor here, we're going to, let's go here. So what we just need to do to actually display our navbar, to be able to display our navbar, because now it's having a route already. So we're going to display this on, because where is it? Because this one here, where is our navbar? So this one here, we're having property here already, like URL here already, links, right? So what we're just going to do here, we're going to come back to our app.js. I'm going to go here, under here, but before that, we're going to import. Let's import the browser module. So let's go here and do some imports. Let's import in the curly braces. So let's import the browser. Okay, browser route as router. Yes, as router, like so. And then we're going to import the route as well, route, like so. We're going to import the route, and the next one we're going to import route, like so. This is route. Yeah, this is route, like so. Okay, so haven't done this, I'm going to zip this one a little bit, just close it a little bit to get widescreen. So now we're going to come here. We're going to come here to actually make use of our router, right, in our app.js. So here we say router, like so. I'm going to close this, and inside this router we're going to have routes, like so. So here we have routes, like so, routes, and we're just going to close this down. And inside routes, we're going to have routes, which represent a single router, single link. So now in here, what we're going to do here right now, I'm going to set this one here. So this one is a route, and now let's say this route is going to go to home page when it's clicked upon. So here we're going to set the exact path of this route. We're going to set it to just home, like so. And now the element of home is going to be the home page. So elements, the elements, like so. We'll check the element, and this one we're going to set to the home. We're going to set to the home page, the home component. So we're going to say this one here, home, like so, and we're just going to close it like so, right? And let's save to have a format, proper format. So now we have one component already called view student, right? So now I'm going to duplicate this one here. I'm going to duplicate this as usual, duplicate this, and then I'm going to change this one here to view students, right? View students. Then now this element is going to be what's the name of the element last time? What is the name of the component last time? So this component is a student view. So this component is student view. So we say student view, this one here. Okay, let's cross check if this one actually view students. So let me just copy this to avoid some typo that we might not take note, that we might not see. Okay, so let's have this and save. So I'm just going to save this here, right? Okay, so now let's try to see our home page. Let's try to see, to refresh this to see if we still have the same problem. So let's go here. What is happening here? Let's try to see what is happening in our console. Let's refresh and go here. Still refreshing. Okay, so we have, what is it? Navbar, div, this button, the class name. Okay, there's a problem here. Oh yeah, I got it. So in our navbar here, where's the navbar we copied? We copied navbar from somewhere. So let's go back to our this here. So this navbar we copy, we forgot to change the classes here. Remember, in React, we don't use classes, we use class name, right? So I'm going to double click on this and Control and D. So just press that the Control and press the D key several times according to the number of things you want to change simultaneously. So right now we see that we have selected all these classes here. So we're just going to change them once on the go. So we're just going to press the backspace here and go to class name here, like so, and escape and save, right? So I think this solves our problem. So let's go back if there's any problem to solve. Let's go back to our browser and let's refresh now. We still have other problems. What are these other problems we have? Navbar, div app, div. The above error occurred in link component. Let's try to. What is the error? Uncaught card cannot destruct property based off this. It's not okay. Let me pause the video and actually see what is going on. So I will explain when I'm done with the solution. Okay guys, I got the problem. So what actually happened was that that error was that this navbar here was outside the router. This navbar here, because before I put the router, I placed the navbar here. So this navbar component was outside the router, so that was the problem. So now I just put it inside the base router here, right? So this one is just in here. So take note that this navbar is outside this route, right? But it's inside the router, right? It's inside the base router, but it's outside the children routers, right? In here. So now that actually solved the problem. So let's go back to the browser to see what we got so far. So now we see that the error is gone away. The error has gone away. So right now our default page right now is home page, right? That was what we set. You know, that was what we said here, right? So that's what we said. So when the path is empty with slash, just empty like this, it should go to the home page. And now this is our home page that is showing here right now, right? So I'm going to move this one away. I'm going to move this one. So this is our home page showing. So if we go here right now and click on view all student, we should be able to see every student we have from our database right now. So now I'm going to, the next thing we're going to do here, let's work on this navbar. Let's do some customization. We're going to give space between the navbar and the table and actually make this table look good before we move on, right? So now let's actually move to IntelliJ, not IntelliJ. Let's move to VS Code and get it done. So now our navbar here, we're going to change this. We're going to change our navbar to black. I just want it to be black, right? A kind of dark. So let's go up here. Where's our navbar? This one here. So let's go back here to change it to dark. Expand. So let's remove this, and I'm just going to say dark, like so, dark. Now this is RK dark. And now we're going to come here and say navbar dark, like so. So also I'm going to put the margin button to give a space, to give space from the table, right? So they should be gumming each other. So I'm just going to say the margin button, I'm going to set it to 5, so I give a little space, right? Okay, so let's save this and go back to see our changes, how it looks like. Okay, so now we see that we got a space here, and we actually see that our navbar is dark already. So the next thing we're going to do here is to, let's see how we're going to contain this. We'll contain this so that it should be spanning the whole page, right? So for us to do that, let's go back to VS Code, and now let's go back to our app, right? So what I'm just going to do here, the first thing I'm going to do is to change. I'm not really going to, I don't want to return div, so I'm going to right click on this and press D. So I'm going to return the main HTML stuff tag. I'm going to return the main. And now I'm going to remove this one from here. So I'm going to set this one here to container, like so. Container, is that correct? Container is correct. Then now the margin top, I'm going to give it space. I'm going to give space from the top, so it should go on the top like that. So I'm going to set it margin top to 5. So we're going to save. And now let's go back and see our changes to see how it looks like. Cool. So now we see that our page is looking a little bit better. Now before we move on, what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to change this one here to icons. I don't want to use this button. I want it to be icons, React icons. So for that, we're going to install a library called React icons, right? So now let's go back to our not IntelliJ. I'm using JetBrains product like IntelliJ and WebStorm. So just moving to VS Code because it's really popular right now and it's really smart. Now I began to fall in love with VS Code. It's really popular, it's really smart, and a lot of plugins for free. Okay, so now what I'm just going to do here is to go back to our terminal. And so right now we're just going to say npm I for install. Then we're just going to say react dash icons. So npm install react icons. So I'm just going to hit on enter. So we're just going to move away for a while. So when it's done installing, we're going to come back to continue our journey. Okay, so we can see that our React icons have been installed. So let's confirm this as usual in our package.json. So let's open our package.json and confirm it. So here we see that React icons have been installed for us. So let's close this down. And now I'm going to go back to our student. Where's our student? Student view. So let's go back to our student view. Yeah, this one here. So let's go back to the tables here, down here. Right. So what we're just going to do here, we're going to change these buttons to icons, right? This one is delete, and the other ones here. So I'm going to, let's put a space here so we'll see what we are doing. Let's actually clear the space here so we can see clearly what we're doing. So what I'm just going to do here is to come inside here to change this word here to change this one here to icon. So just gonna say sorry. What is wrong with this shit, man? So what I just want to do here is to change this word here to icon. So let's remove this here, and I'm just going to say far trash art, like so, right? Yeah, something like, I think it's like this. So let's close this down. So what I'm just going to do here is to go up. Let me go up to, we need to import this. So let's import like so, in curly braces, far trash, install far trash art, right? From where? From React icons. Yeah, from React icons slash far, like so. This one here. So we just so let's save it, right? Let's save it, and so let's go and check the view in our browser before we continue with the rest ones. So here, if we refresh, it's not yet taking effect. Okay, cool. So we see that we have gotten an icon here, beautiful icons, trash icons, right? So let's do the same for these two here. So now let's just go back here to VS Code, and so what I would just want to do here, this one here is different from the delete. This one here, this update is different. It's going to be different from delete, because actually this update is going to take us to a link. It's going to actually it has a lot of things to do. You know, it's going to take us to a link somewhere to actually get the user updated. So for that, we're going to change this button here. I'm just going to double click like so, remove this and change them to link. Yeah, change this to link like so. And now this link here, I'm going to set the to. So we're going to make use of so the link we set last time here. Right now we're going to make use of it here. So link to where? So we're going to say link to edit. So here we're going to have no, sorry, I didn't escape, so it's still working here. Okay, cool. So here we're going to set the href. So when this button is clicked, where is it going to? Where this link is clicked, where is it going to? So actually we're going to define, we have not defined this one, so we're going to define edit student. We're going to define this one in a moment. When we'll be deleting, when we'll be editing students, we're going to implement this method, this link. But for now, I'm just going to implement it here, right? So right here, we're going to have this here, and we're just going to get the student dot id, like so. But meanwhile, because we are having a param here, this one is a param, right? So because we're having a param, so we're going to use backtick. We use the backtick. Here we go here to actually backtick this. We use the backtick so that you can include the param here. This same thing, this one goes. So let me just break. What is it? Yeah, let me save to actually get a format, right? So now let me go here to remove this and actually let's have the icon. So this icon here is going to be far. This is edit, right? So this is called far edit. Far edit. Okay, this one here. So we have far edit. This one, and the last one here, which is view. Sorry, which is view, actually has the same format with this. So because of that, as usual, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this and go here to actually paste it here because they are almost the same thing, right? So the only thing we're going to do here is this one. We're going to say view, or because this one here is not review, is going to take us to view student profile, right? Because getting a single, this one is viewing a single student, right? So we're just going to say student details or student profile. Let's say student profile file. Yeah, student profile, like so. And this one also is going to get the student ID, but this one here we're going to change to info, not warning. We'll change to info, right? The update is warning, the delete is danger, view is info, view the info. So here we're going to change this icon. We'll change this icon to far. This one is I. Yeah. So let's save like so. And let's go back to our browser and see the updates to see what we've gotten right there. Okay, cool. So our table is looking nice. So the next thing I'm going to do here before we move to our next step is to put shadow. Let's put shadow on our table so it looks a kind of good, more beautiful, right? So let's put shadow. So let's go here. Where's our table? Okay, let's just include shadow here. Shadow, right? I think it's shadow last time. It's shadow. Yeah, let's. Okay, cool. So we have it raised up. Beautiful. So now we see that our table is very beautiful right now. Our page is looking so beautiful, right? I'm really in love with our page right now. Okay, cool. So now we have finished all this, but we're going to get back to this later. So the next step we're going to do right now. So now we are able to fetch a user from all our students from the database. So the next one we're going to do right now is to actually create a form, is to create a component where we can actually add students to our database. So that is what we're going to do next, to create a form so that we can add students to a database, right? Okay, let's go and get it done. Okay, so now let's go back to VS Code and actually get this done. So now what we're just going to do here is to create a new component right here. We're going to go to the student package. Yeah, this student package, this student folder here. So we're going to create a new component called add students. Add students, right? No, this one is add student, and this one is .js as usual. I'm going to click on enter, like so. And so quickly, we're just going to go here to get our shortcut to generate our component for us. So now my computer was thinking, actually freezing. I'll check it. That's what's going on. Okay, now we've gotten this. So the first thing what we're just going to do here is to inside this div. Now that we have gotten Bootstrap in our system, so we're just going to style along as we go. So I'm going to actually style this div. I'm going to give this div here some class name. Class name. So we'll set in a class of this div is going to be column number 8, like column SM8, right? Let's say column SM8, and next we're going to set the y-axis, the padding of y-axis, and the x-axis, right? So now let's say this x, like so, we're going to be 5, and now we're going to make it offset, like to make it center a little bit, push inside a little bit, like a kind of center the form a little bit, right? Maybe this one is not necessary for now, but let me just use this. So this one, I want this form, I want the size of this to be, 8 like this, and Right here, I'm just going. So right here, we're going to return the form tag inside this div, right? So actually, this one here, I want this div, I want our form to be kind of 8. The width of our form should be 8. That was what I did here. And this one, the padding, the vertical and horizontal padding of our form, the 2 and 5 respectively. So this one here, I'm going to return the form tag like form like so. And inside this form here, we're going to start creating some components here, right? So some form component, form element. So the first one we're going to create here is a div. We're going to style this form like label and text field, right? So inside this form here, I'm going to have another div like so, and this div here, I'm going to set some classes like class name, and this one here I'm going to set is going to be an input group, right? So input group, and I'm going to set the margin bottom to 5, so the space between the control should be 5, right? Okay, so now having done this now, so inside here we're going to have a label control label like so. And inside this label, we're going to have the first name. We're going to have the first name like so. And now we're going to set some attributes to this label. So this one here, we're going to just set the class. The class name of this label is going to be input group text. So it's only going to be input group text like so, input group text. And now we're going to set the owner of this label, so HTML4. So who is the owner of this label? It belongs to first name, right? So I'm just going to say first name like this, first name. So what that means, when this label is clicked, it's going to give focus to the first name text field, right? So that's what we did here. Okay, so the next thing here, we're going to create our input. So let me take this up a little bit. Well, let me just save to get proper format. Cool. So now let's go down here and actually create our input. So this one here, we're going to say input like so, input. And here, this is our input here. We're going to give some classes as well. So this one is going to be class name, and this one is going to be form control, and this one is going to span 6 colon, right? Small 6 is going to span through 6. But remember here we have the width of the form is 8, so we're going to have the control to be 6. So a little bit larger, a little bit longer, right? It's just design. It's not really important, just to make sure your form actually look a little bit pretty. So the type of this here, this is type, supposed to be type. So the type of this here is going to be text, like so. The type is text, and the name of this form is going to be first name. This name is very important. So the name is first name, and also the ID here is also going to be first name. The ID here is also going to be first name, right? So now we're going to set some default HTML5 require validation here. We're just going to say required, and the value of this one as well, the value is going to be first name, like so, right? So let's just put first name. This is the value right here. Okay, so the next we're going to do here, we see that let's go through all we have done here. So now this is our test control, and we just try to set some attributes to our test control, to our text box, right? So the first name, this ID here, this HTML4 actually work with this ID here, right? So this is the owner of the label, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to give this one a self-closing tag. I'm going to give it a self-closing tag and then remove this one from here, and then just move it down here. Okay, so for that, I'm going to, now that we have done with one of this control like so, so what we're just going to do here is to copy and paste as usual, right? So let's copy this and paste. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste a couple of times as needed. So we have how many controls? We have five. Yeah, 5 controls. So we're just going to copy this from here. Just copy this, and now we're going to paste for last name. Just paste it here, and then we're going to come here. Where is the last name? So the first name. So we're going to double click on this, and as usual, hold down the control key and press the D. Press the D key. No, I don't want it to go up. No, something Ctrl Z. Yes, the one okay, not here. Yeah, the one we've just copied, this one here. So I'm going to press the Control and D. Why is it going up? I don't want it to go up. Okay, so let me just go this as last name. And his last name, and this one here, why is my control going up before coming down? Okay, so right now I'm going to click on this tool. Let's see if this will work. Okay, this one works. So now let's have the last name here, and also let me just escape, and here let's have the last name here as well. Last name like so. That's what we have here for now. And now let's check properly. So we have last name. So now let's paste for email, right? So we're going to paste this for email, and now I'm going to double click this control, this something is wrong. It's not going, so let's go here, Control D. So why it's not going over there? Okay, let's go to email. This one is supposed to be email, like so, and let's escape, and this one also supposed to be email. So this one is email, and right here also this one is email as such, just like this. Okay, so now we're going to just set the type of this one to email so that it will validate the HTML validation. Default HTML validation will just apply to here. We set this to email, right? So the last one we're going to create here is the last one we're going to paste is for the department. So let's paste this for the department, and I'm just going to go here and Control and D, and just go department, right, and escape. Okay, so this one here, I'm just going to copy this and go here to paste it here, and right now we're going to change this one to department like so, right? Okay, so this is what we have here right now. Now we're going to, for us to be able to view our page how it looks like, we're going to include it here. So I'm just going to go here and duplicate this route. So let's duplicate this down, and now this one is going to be add students, like we like last time we defined, right? And this one here is add, oh, sorry, this one is add students, like so. So let's look at this student view, add students. No, not student view, navbar. Let's go to our navbar where the add students, view students, add student. Okay, add students. So let's confirm it here. Add students. Okay, so that when that link is clicked, it's going to take us here, right, to actually view our form here. Okay, so let's save this. Let's save this and see what we got in the browser. So I'm going to save all like so. So let's go to the browser and see what we've got to this point. So I'm going to refresh. I'm going to refresh. And do we have any error? Oh my gosh, we have error. First name is not defined. Oh, okay, I see. So now for us to, because now we're having first name here as value, but we have not defined it here. So okay, so for this we're going to create a state variable here, right? So now let's come here and say const. So this one is going to be student, right? We're going to create a state variable student, and we're going to create a method to actually set the student, like to actually update the student, right? The student variable. So this one here, we're just going to initialize this to an empty array using a React hook called useState, right? The use state, this one here, use state, this one here. So now we're going to actually initialize this object, or initialize this variable to an empty object right here. And now this student here actually has attributes, right? Has first name, last name, and so on and so forth. So what we're just going to do here is to set the first name like so. So we're going to set the first name to an empty string, right? Like so. And here I'm going to take this down a couple of times. I'm going to change this to last name. So this one is the last name, and this one is going to be the email, and this one is going to be the department, like so. So this one is going to be the department, right? And now I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to remove this like so. So having done this, now we're going to the structure. We're going to create another object, the object of the student, to actually destructure all these properties right here. So what we're just going to do here, we're going to just say const like so, and object. So we're just going to have the first name like so, the first name, the last name, the email like so, and the department. So we're just going to have this like so, and this one we're going to set it to the student like so, right? So here we have the first name, the last name, the email, the department, and so we actually destructured this one here to the students variable, to the students, right? Like so. So now, because we are actually these are when this form load the first time, it got loaded the first time, the student object is empty, right? There's nothing inside it. That is what we set it empty right here, right? So now we now destructure all these properties here, we set them to the students, right? So that now, because these are what we are doing here right now, these are the properties we're using here right now, right? So that when a user type anything in the text field, so we're going to actually handle the input change to actually populate the input the data, the information that the user type. We're going to populate them here to these attributes here. So for that, now we're going to have a method that will actually handle the entry, the data entry into the form, right? So here we say handle, we're going to call this one handle input change, right? So we're going to set this to here. So we're going to set this to a function like so, and we're just going to return this. Sorry, my system is freezing. Come on, stop freezing. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is to actually use the set student method to update the state of this this one here. I think this one here set, this one will be student, right? So we're just going to use this variable to actually update, the method to update the state of the student, right? So now we're just going to say, so we're going to pick the student here, and now we're going to spread the attributes. We're going to spread the attribute of the student right here, like so. We'll spread it here, and now after spreading all the attributes of the student, so now we're going to target the input of the user, so we can put the input of the user to the appropriate text field, to appropriate name of the text field, right? So now we're going to say e.target name, right? So now we're going to go out here and actually set this one here, e.target.value. we actually targeting the value, right, like so. So what we're just doing here right now, so we're just going to end this here. So what we are doing here right now is that we are actually this name here, that's why it's important. This name here is really important, this one here, very important. So now if you don't set this name here, you are going to have a problem. You're not going to have anything to submit. So now look at what we're doing here right now. So we actually take this student object and use the set method to actually update the variable, the reference variable, right? So now we spread all the attributes. If we put our cursor here, we see that we are actually spreading all the student attribute here down here. So now we are going to, after that, now we are going to listen to what this user is typing, right? So we're actually populating this empty string here with the value from this text field here, right? So we target the name of the text field here and pick the value from the text field and put it into the appropriate name here, the corresponding name here. That's what we're doing here right now. Okay, so having done this right now, we are going to quickly go to the user, the text field, to actually call this method on input change, right? So here we're going to say on change. So here we're going to actually call the method we just created. So we're going to say handle, this handle, right? So we're going to say handle input change, like so. So we're going to pass in this e inside the event. So now this one here, is going to go run all the controls. So for that, we're just going to copy here and paste. So we're going to copy and paste, like so, and this one copy and paste, like so. Okay, now we're going to save. Like so. And now so let's go to the browser to actually view our updates, right? So let's go to the browser here, let's refresh, and let's see if we still have errors. So we don't have an error, so let's view the form. So right here we have the form, right? But right now we cannot save, we cannot do anything because we have not connected. So now let's go and connect these buttons so that we can actually save, right? So we can actually save our user to database. But before we do this connection, the first thing we're going to do here is to connect this button so that when we click this cancel, I just want us to navigate back to this place here, back to view all users, right? So now I'm just quickly go to the cancel button here. So instead of the button here, I'm going to change that button to a link, this one here. So we're going to change this button to a link, like so. Oh no, escape. I just need only this one here, like so. So I'm going to change this one to link, yeah, link, like so. And now I'm going to set the link when the link is clicked, where is it going to? So it's going to link to somewhere, right? So now it's going to link to view users, view students, like so, right? And just save, like so. So now let's quickly go back and test this before we start implementing this save method. So now let's actually go here and click on this. So we see that when we click on it, we go back to view users, right? Click on it and go back to view users. So now let's go back here to actually implement. So let's write the code to actually save this to the database, right? Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go back to IntelliJ. And so now we're going to actually implement the code, the save user method to save this information that's been populated here to the database. So now I'm just going to push down, here, and we're going to create a method, a function here. We'll just a const save. We'll call this one save student, and right here we're going to have like so, right? But here we're going to make this one async, right? Like so. And then we're going to actually return the Axios core, like so. So Axios dot post. So this time around is post, like so. So Axios dot post. I think we don't have Axios here, so let's go up here to import Axios. So just here we're just going to say import Axios from Axios, here in double quotes, like so. So like so. So right here now we have Axios post. So now we're going to have the URL to post. Now we should remember last time these two URL are the same thing. The posts and get URL are the same thing, just that the method are different. One is post, one is get. So I'm just going to paste this here, Ctrl Z, remove this and paste this here, and now we're going to append the student to be saved right there. So that is the student right there. All right, so now we have done with this method to actually save the students to the database. So we're just going to come here to invoke. So when the submit button is clicked, so we're going to actually save. We're going to actually call this method that we just created right now to actually save the students to the database. So here we just say save and pass in the event object, right? Like so. And meanwhile, we're going to prevent the default behavior of this form, because we know that when HTML form, when it's saved by default, is going to reload again. So for that, we're going to prevent the default behavior here. So we're going to come in here and say e.prevent default, like so. So we'll say e.prevent default. So right now we're going to go back to our database. We're going to go back to our front end and actually check if this one is, if we can actually save to a database right now. So now let's go back here, go back to the form here and go here. So I'm going to save a new user called which one I will save right now. So let me save John. Let me say John, right? John and John Donald. Let me say Donald. This one here. Donald. And here we're gonna have John, maybe Donald at email.com, like so. And this one here is in the department of physics department, right? For example. Okay, now let's actually save this. So let's go back here to see if we saved. So John Donald in physics department actually saved. So now the next thing we're going to do here right now, I want, when we save, we should navigate back to this place here, right? So let's quickly go back to let's go back to VS Code and actually get it done. So now for that, we're going to use the navigate So I'm just going to say let navigate equals use navigate here, and there's a method, and this one is imported here already. So we just go down here and say this one here. We're just going to say navigate, which is after saving the student, then navigate to view all students, right? So we just say view students, like so, view students, right? Okay, so right now let's save again and go back to the browser to see if we can navigate after saving. So now we're going to add a new, I'm going to add a new user. So this time around, this one is going to be Rosemary. Rosemary Benson, right? And this one we're going to have rose at email.com, and here we are going to put this one here in banking and finance. I'm going to say what department. Let's just say accounting department, like so. We really need to have this one as a drop down, so we can actually have some pre-populated options here to just choose from, instead of thinking of how to type, right? So let's save, and we see that after saving we're able to navigate back here, right? So now the next one we're going to do here right now is to implement. Let's implement the action, so we can delete, we can update, and we can view. So let's go in and get it done. All right, so now we are going to continue to implement our actions buttons, right? So the first one we're going to implement here is the delete button. So we're just going to go here to the student view, and this is the button we're going to implement, the first one we're going to implement. So when the user click on this button, we can actually delete information from the table, right? So now let's just go up here. We're going to implement a method to actually handle the delete, to handle that action, right? So now we're just going to do here is to create a constant variable, a const here, a function actually. So here we're just going to say handle delete, like so, and here I'm going to assign this to a function. So here we're going to pass inside here like this, we're going to pass the student ID that we want to delete, right? So here we're just going to have this, but meanwhile this one is going to be a sync, like so. So it's going to be a sync, and now we're going to return the Asios.delete, right? So here we're just going to say await Asios.delete. So here we're just going to say .delete, like so. Now we're going to pass the URL for the deletion, right? So now if we remember last time, the URL to the deletion, we have localhost / our port / students / delete, then the student ID, right? That was the URL. But meanwhile, I'm going to, let's take a look at this this URL here. So this one is the URL, this is the URL to actually get all users from the database, right? But the delete here is kind of similar to this. So what I'm just going to do here is to paste this one here. This one is going to have additional write-up, right? So we have delete, like so. We have delete, this is delete, like so. And now we're going to have this param, which is the student ID that we want to delete. So like so. Now because we are having a param, we cannot use double quote in this case anymore. So we're going to remove the double quote and put a backtick. So now this is the param, this is the URL to actually delete a student from our database. Now, so having done this here, we're just going to, after the deletion, we're just going to say that the student should be load again. Just load the users. Just load the students once again, right? So that is what we actually have here. So now let's pass this function to our delete button here. So this is our delete button. So now I'm just going to come here to say on click. So this one is on click. So when the button is click, we're just going to call it to handle delete, right? So we say handle delete, handle delete, like so, and we just pass in here, and we pass in the E, right? Like so. So now when that button is clicked upon, it's going to be deleted. But meanwhile here, we're not actually going to pass an event. We're going to pass an anonymous function, empty function here, and we're just going to pass the student here, student.id right here, just like the edit, right? So right here, we're going to actually say, we're going to remove this one here and just pass the student.id here. So we just say student dot id right here, student.id. So this is what we actually need to delete the user, because right here, this id here, this delete here function here is actually here. This is the function here is actually taking the id of the student. So the same id we are actually passing in here right now for the students to be deleted, right? Okay. So now, having done this, we're actually going to test. We're going to test our delete button to see if it will work before we start doing before we move on to implement the remaining two. So for this, we are going to just save here, and let's go to our browser to actually test the delete. So if I click here like so, that's just to refresh our page. And now let's actually delete this guy here. Okay, cool. You see that our delete is working. So let's delete again. So our delete is actually working, right? So right here, before we move forward, I'm just going to let's add more. So now we're going to have Anna Davis. So we're going to call this one like Davis, and here we're going to say Anna at email.com, like so. So we have banking, right? Banking and finance. Let's just say like this, finance. So let's submit this, and we see that we've gotten a new one. So now we see that our user is actually our delete button, our delete functionality has been done. So now let's go ahead to implement the update functionality, right? So now for that, let's go back to let's go back to VS Code, and right here we're going to go here and create a new component called edit student, right? So I'm just going to go into this student folder and create a new component. So this one I'm going to call edit student.js, like so. And now we're just going to go back here to use our shortcut to generate our component, like so. And now this edit button here, this edit button is going to actually have the same, is very much like the add functionality here. So the edit functionality is very much like the add functionality here. So what we're just going to do here is I'm going to actually take everything that is in here. So now I'm just going to copy everything from here. Just copy everything from here down. Copy everything down here, and just copy and go back here. So I'm going to remove everything here and actually paste the new code we've gotten. So this one here is just like is the same, it's just the same with what we got, right? So here we're going to remove, we have a problem, so let me Control Z. So remove this, right? Go down and paste, right? Is there any problem? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see there's a problem here, so I have to remove this one here, remove this return here, and that is all. So now the other thing we're going to do here is so if we look here, we see that the functionality is like is almost the same, right? Except that here we're going to, instead of save, we're going to change this one here to put, which is to update, right? And now this put here actually is going to take the ID of the student here. So here we're just going to add update, and now we're going to have the student ID. We're going to pick the student ID from here, which is the param, right? So for this, we can no longer use the double quote, so we're going to use the backtick, so we can get a hold of the template variable, this param here, right? Okay, so having done this, we're just going to change this one to edit student, like so. So we just change this to edit student, and so the next thing we're going to do here, so probably we can just change this name also to edit student, because since here is actually a different component, so we can just change the name to update, right? Update student, so that when other programmers are looking at this, they will actually know what this one is doing, right? So now let's copy this one here and replace it here as update, right? Update student, because this one is actually updating the student, right? Now the next thing we're going to do here is this is the param, and I think every other thing is done. So updated students, actually the first thing we're going to do here is to actually get that student from the database by the student ID, right? Then after that, we change what we want to change, then save back the student to the database, right? So for that, we're going to go back to this view here. We have a similar method here. So this is the method that is actually loading loading students from the database. So we're going to grab this method here, these two functions, both the use effect. We're going to grab this function, just copy, and then we're going to come down here. We're going to come down here and paste it here. But now we don't actually need this here. We don't have to do this. So we'll just remove this, and also we'll just remove this and actually bring it closer, so I'll actually see what we're doing. And also we don't need this anymore, and we don't need this anymore, right? So now the only thing we need here is actually we're going to change this one here to get student, right? And actually we're going to change this one here to get student. Now this one here is actually going to have additional because according to the URL we defined last time in our backend, we're going to have this one as student, then slash the student's ID to be gotten from the database, right? So here we're going to pass this one here as a param as well. So now we're going to remove this and use the backtick to actually get this done, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to set this one here, set students, just like this one here. So what we're actually doing here, we are getting a single student with the ID, that is the student we want to edit. So we're actually getting that student from the database. Then we are setting the student into the form here. Then now we're going to change what we want to change, then actually save the student back right here, actually save it back to the database. So when the save is clicked, when it is going to actually go here, right? So to actually trigger, it's going to trigger this method here, right? Okay. So now what we're just going to do here, is to actually save this method and go back to the browser. But actually, let's be sure that all those things we copied, let's be sure that they are imported. Okay, here they are not imported. So let's go back here. So let's go and copy everything. So let's copy them and their import, so I don't have any problem later when we run. So let's just go here and put this one here. So we're going to remove this one here because it's been imported twice. So okay, so this one here, this is edit student. We don't really need this one here. We don't have to make use of this one here. We just need the alias. We need alias. We need use effect. We use this, and also we use this. We need this navigation too because it's already here. It's showing warning already. So what I'm just going to do here, I'm going to remove it. I want it to be auto import, so I'm just going to say use navigate here. So good. So now it has been auto imported here. So the next thing we're going to do here is just to save this and go back to our browser and actually test this functionality to see if it works or not. So now let's go back here to refresh. So let's refresh here and refresh. And so let's try to update this guy here. Something is wrong here. This one is not coming up, but the ID shows up here. So let's actually see the console to see what the problem is. No router matched. The router we have not here. No router. There's no route matches this location. So what we're just going to do here is to go back to here. Let's go back to VS Code and go back here. So we're going to declare this component we just created. We're going to route it here. So now let's duplicate this down, and so this one here is going to be edit, right? Edit student, single student. We're going to check it later. So now we're going to search this component to edit student, like so, right? Like so. So now let's actually go here. This is the view. So let's check if that link is actually edit student that is there. Here, edit student with this, okay, with the param, it has an ID. So here we're going to include this one here. We're going to include the param here, the ID here. We're going to include it. So now let's save. And now let's go back to our browser and actually test it out. ID is not defined. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's actually go back here to this here. So this ID here, it said ID is not defined. So what we're just going to do here is to declare the ID to use param, right? So let's say const here ID, and here we are going to just set this one equals use params, like so. This one here, use param. And now let's save it and actually go back to the browser to see if things are working out or not. What? ID is not defined again. Let's refresh and see what it's complaining about. Okay, so so here we have David Dino. So now we're going to change this one to see David John. Let's just say David John, right? And let's save to see what happens. Okay, cool. So now we're able to save David John. So now our edit is working right now. So this one here, let's actually edit Felicity Simpson. So let's change this one here, Felicity Alfred, for example, and let's save it to the database, and we see that we are able to change Felicity Alfred, right? So now our delete is working, our edit is working. So now let's go and implement the view method. So let's go and get it done. All right, so now what we're just going to do here is I'm going to remove this one here. I think I'm just going to remove this one here and paste the code I've already prepared down. That's the template I've prepared down, right? So this one here, just gonna do here. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this. So Ctrl Z. So I'm going to wrap this inside this here and actually paste it here, right? So now this template is just normal HTML template. I'm going to, so it's just the same thing as we are viewing when we like this view here, the same thing like with the view, but just that this one is on table, but this one here, this profile is just like, I just set this with divs. Yes, just to arrange this with divs. So here we just see, if you go up here, you see I'm just returning a section, and I just set a little style to the background, and all this one here are just the same thing we have been doing ever since, right? This link here is just a resource online, just a photo, a placeholder online for photo, just to have someone photo there as a placeholder, right? So this one here, you can just see this one are templates and variables, just to display the name of the user, right? And all these things here. So the next thing we're going to do here is to we just have to load the user. So we load the user, and we're going to actually we load the user, and so we can actually get the user attributes right here. You see this one's here, the user name, and if you look here like this, you see that this one here actually take the label, and that's two component here, two divs. So this one is the name, this is the value, this is the key, this is the label, this is the value, this is the label, this is the key, this is the value, just like that. So now the next thing we're going to do here is to actually we have a similar code. We have a similar code to this before, right? So this code is like last time we want to add a user, we have a similar code there that we actually would like to use this one here. So now this one, like so, we're just going to copy this one here and just copy and go back here and paste it here, right? And paste this one here, right? Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Mistake. Okay, so here just go here and paste it here. Okay, sorry guys. So now the next thing we're going to do here is to actually there are some things just like what we did just now, because this one is a single user, and you know, right now when we are editing a user, we actually got a URL that loaded that user, a single user from the database, and this is exactly the same URL we want to use here. So there's no point of wasting time typing it again. Just like I said, you know, in a typical application, we're supposed to actually dedicate all these related, all these common codes, that this operation that is common to every page, to many pages. We dedicate this to a single utility file or to utility package, where we'll be using them one after the other. But just because of this here, we just decided to do it, because just a little demo, so there's no point of going that. But in a standard way, in a standard convention, that's all we're supposed to do, right? Okay, now, you know, of course, having this one here, having loading a user from database, we need to call the use effect, right? So that is what I just pasted here, because they are all the same thing with what we have done before. This edit user, the same thing here, use effect, and this one here, the same, exactly the same thing. Okay, so now I think we are ready to view our user. But meanwhile, before we view our user, we're going to, because we have a param here, so we're going to, where is the view here, profile. So because we have a param here, we're actually going to come here to declare the use param here. So here we're just going to go here to say const, just like we've done before. So we just have const ID, and we say equals use params, this one here, and we just it's a method actually. Okay, So now let's be sure that all our imports are intact, so to avoid running back and forth. So now we copied some things from here. We copy use effect and Asios and everything from here. So we're just going to come back here as well to pick up this import and include here to avoid wasting of time, right? So we're just going to put this here, but meanwhile this one has been, so let me remove this one here because it has been there. So now let's just I'm going to take this down. I'm going to cut this and bring it down here, right? Doesn't really matter, but I just want to do it that way. Okay, so let's save. So what else do we really need that we've not import? So we have the use state, right? So the use state has been imported. Where's the use state? Use state here. Use effect here. And what else? So the ID here, we have declared the ID here, use param, right? Okay, so now I think we are ready to view. So let's view our user, our students, right? So let's save this one here and actually view a student. But meanwhile, we're going to go here. We're going to go here to actually let's get the URL declaration here. Edit user. Where's the view user? View user. Okay, we have student profile. So we're going to copy this one here, and let's go here to actually declare the route. Let's route the component we just created by moving this down, and now this one is actually student profile, right? Then of course the param is there already. So now let's change this component to student profile. This one is student profile, this one here, right? So this student profile. Okay, so I think this is just all we need to view our student. So now let's actually go to the browser to view. So let's refresh and view. Let's view David. It's not coming. What's happened? 11 ID 11. Why is it not coming? So let's go to our console. No route matches students profile 11, but I think we have routed it. Okay, let's go here, student profile. Oh, this is wrong. This is students. Remove this E here, students profile. It's a very cheap mistake. Okay, cool. So now we can actually view our user. So let's close this from here. So this one is just like it's just a template that you can actually work on. So now let's go back to all students and let's view Anna right here. So you can just take a step forward to actually get this template implemented to make this one actually an image coming from your database. And all these ones here, you can just place a call, you can send a message, right, just for a demo purpose. But in our future demo, I'm going to implement this. I'm going to implement this very card here. So this image actually is going to come from our database, and all these two functionalities here, we're going to just actually make them work. So when we view a student, we can just actually place a call or send a message to that student, right, directly from his profile, right? Okay, so now we have actually gone far. We have gone this far to this stage. So the next thing we're going to do here is to actually, let me go back here. I really want to let's fine tune this table a little bit, just to that profile. So let's actually this container, this row. Okay, so let's see, does it have a class name? This section has no class name, so let's try to get a class name for this section, like so. And let's just say let's make it shadow. I like shadow. So let's see if it make any difference, any changes. Of course make difference here. So a very beautiful one here. So now we've gotten a beautiful, well looking app here. So here we can just go back to the home page. Welcome to the home page, and here we can view students, and here we can add students, right? And here we can just go back to view students. So here we can view a student profile, and here we can just go back here, so we can edit a student like so. So let me just change this to Hannah. Let's say Hannah, right? So let's save this. So we have, what is it? We have Hannah here. So we can view, we can edit, and also we can delete. Boom. So everything is working from end to end. So the last thing we're going to do here is the search component. I think that is the last task we have here. This video is becoming too long, right? So now what we really have to do here right now is to put a search component here, so we can actually search for users. So let's go in and get it done. Okie dokie. So now let's go ahead to actually implement the search functionality of our application. I think that is going to be the last maybe the last task in this project, I think so. So now what we're just going to do here is to go here to create a new component called search. This time around, I'm not going to put the search in here. I'm just going to put the search right here in the common. I'm going to put it here in the common package. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to put it here because this search is common, might be common to different pages, right? You can search from different pages using this same component, right? Now I'm just going to create I'm going to create a component here called search. Yeah, this is going to be search.js, like so. And what we're just going to do here is to use, as usual, just use our shortcut to actually generate this stuff for us. To make it faster, we can actually do it by hand, but I love doing it this way. So now we can just, this search is going to have two properties, two props, right? So here we're going to have this and a method to actually update this search variable right here. So here we have a search variable and the set search method here. So what we're just going to do here is to return. I'm going to set. So since we have Bootstrap already, we're just going to be doing this along styling. So here we have class. Sorry. So we have the class name like so. We're going to just set this one here to column. Column small column like 6, like so. And the margin button, that is space of that component to the table, should be margin button like 4, like so. So it should be kind of like 4. And now we're going to have a form component in here. So let's just go here to have form. Sorry, this is supposed to be form. So let's have a form component, and just like so. And the next thing we're going to do here is to create an input. We just need a single input inside this form just for search, right? So for that, we're just going to say input, this input like so, input. And now we're going to set some different properties, a few properties for this our input right here. So here we have the input is going to have a type. So this type here, we're just going to search to search like so. And the role also, we're going to search. We're going to set it to search like so. It's going to be search box like so, right? And now this one is going to have a placeholder because we're not going to have a label for this. So the placeholder is going to serve as a hint to what the user is what the text box is used for, right? So here we're going to write here as a placeholder search students, right? Just say search students like so. And having done this, now we're going to say value. We're going to set the value of this to search. Actually, that is the variable we declare up there, right? So we're going to just set the value to search like so. And having done this now, so we're going to set the on change I'm going to set the on-change, on-change, like so, on-change. So when this one, that's when the user enter input. So we're going to set that, we're going to use that input to update. We're going to update our search value with the input that the user actually entered, right? So for that, we're just going to go here and say set search, like so, set search, and here we're just going to pass in the e.target.value, right? We're actually targeting the value that the user will input. So I think this is just what we need here. And the only thing that is remaining here, we're just going to, we have the type, we have the row, the placeholder, the value, and this. Now the only thing that is remaining here right now, we're just going to set a class. We're going to give it a bootstrap class so that it can actually look good, right? So here we're just going to say this one is going to be a form control, like so. So we'll say form control, like so. Okay, so now I think this is all we have here right now. So we're going to use this component in the view student, the student view component, right? That is where we're going to use it. So let me just save to get the proper format. Okay, cool, like so. This search does not exist. Okay, I made a mistake here. Search. So when you see a dot below your component or below your variable, just know that that variable does not exist in your page. So you have to check it properly and make sure it's declared there, right? Okay, so now we are done with this. But meanwhile, before we move on, we are going to prevent the default behavior of HTML form, right? So here we're just going to say what we're going to say on submit. Actually, we don't have submit or submit button to click here, but actually when we click enter is going to, that is the same as submit. But this one we're doing here right now, we're not even going to click enter. We're just going to filter. As we are typing, it is just filtering. It's just going to start filtering, right? So we don't really need this here, but anyways, we're just going to make some things clear here so that we can actually understand exactly what we're doing here. So here I'm just going to say prevent default, which means when a submit button is clicked, please don't reload the form, just stay put, right? All right, so the next we're going to do here, we're going to go to the student view to actually make use of the search component we just finished implementing, right? Okay, so right now we're going to, I forgot to do something here. So this one here, I'm just going to put here like a title, but that doesn't really mean. So now what we're just going to do here, here we're going to go here. This is the table, right? This is the table. So on top of the table, we're going to place our component. So we're just going to say search. We're going to bring that search component here and just close it here, right? So that's what we need. But meanwhile we're going to create a state variable here for our search component. So we're just going to go up here to create a state variable and initialize this to an empty string by a hook. So here we're going to say search, and here we're going to say set search, like so. This is search. Is that correct? Yeah, set search, that is correct. So here we're going to initialize this to an empty string, right? We're going to initialize this to an empty string. So at first it's going to be empty. So when the user type in something, it's going to start updating, right? So now what we're just going to do here is to go back here, is to come here where we are actually where we are mapping all the users to a row. So we're going to come here to actually start our search. So what we're just going to do here is to filter. We're going to filter first before we map. So now this filter here, we're going to filter with the first name of the student, right? We're going to be filtering with the first name of the student. So here we have student variable here already, so I'm just going to say st like so. We're going to, sorry, so is, yeah, like so. So we're just going to have the student variable, which is like st here, and then we're going to so here we're just going to actually return the student by first name, which means we're going to be searching this search here. We're going to be doing it by first name, right? We'll search by first name of the student. So here we're going to say st.first name. Anyways, you can just include as many criteria you want to include, but for this here we're just going to say let's to lowercase. we're going to convert whatever the user entered to a lowercase, right? So we just say lowercase here, and then yeah, so we're just going to convert it to lowercase and then include the search criteria, right? So we're going to say includes like so, includes, then we're going to pass in the search or search variable in here, and after that we're going to map, right? So let me save for a better format, and now right here I'm just going to push this down so it will be a little bit clearer for us to see. Okay, so this is all we just need to do here to actually search for users, search for students, right? So now what we're just going to do here is to go to our browser and actually test this functionality. So we can see that our form is here, and if we have Dave is not a function, set search on the function. Okay, so let's go back here to see actually what is happening here. Where is, okay, view set search. Okay, so we need to update our search criteria, right? So now what we just need to do here, we need to come up here and what is this? So let's do something here. Search equals search, right? This is not, yeah, search, and go down here. So we have set search equals set search. So, and so we're going to save to have a formatted Outlook. And now I think that is just what we need to do, and let's go back to our browser and see if that works or not. So let's go back to our browser and actually test it out. So right here in our browser, let's try to type again. So we have David, right? So now for us to actually, let's add more students so we can have a lot more to actually search. So here I'm going to have Sarah Man, right? So have Sarah at email at email.com. So these are just fake value anyway. So we have sales, and we click here. So we go back here and say Julia. We have Julia Maxine. We're gonna have Maxine. Julia Maxine. We're gonna have Julia at email.com. So we're gonna say accounting. So you can just try to implement this and put select here, select a text box. So you just populate this department from a data source, so to be easier for users to enter, right? Okay, now we're going to just do this, and here we're going to have Cynthia, maybe Cindy. We're going to have Cindy. That's sorry, I'm sorry, there's not one called Cindy. So let's go back here to actually have Cindy, and we have Cindy what? Cindy Cinder. Cindy Cinder. A beautiful name. So we have Cindy at email.com, right? Like so. And this one here is going to be art, theater, maybe theater art. For example, we just have theater. Is that correct? Theater arts. Okay, so let's go here. So now we have a couple of users here. So now let's search for this one is C. So we have two people with C here. So let's narrow it down. We still have this. Let's narrow it down. So we have Cindy, right? So here we have let's go. We have J. We have only one J. So here we are actually searching by the first name, right? So that actually brings us to the end of the front end development. So now we can see that all our component is working, the search is working fine, view, edit, delete, everything is really working perfectly, and we have a beautiful app right here that is working from end to end, right? Okay, so now before we finish this application, before we close up this, I want to show you something straight right here. We want to show you something in IntelliJ. Let's go back to IntelliJ, and I'm going to pull this down, right? So now I'm going to start up Postman. I'm going to show you something on Postman before we round up this this very demo for today. This is not what I want to do. I just want to open it here and go to here and go to the exception package. So now this is the exception package we defined last time, and we have here a user not we have user not student not found, right? So but what I just want to do here right now, I want to open up Postman so that I want to show you something here before we round up this this demo. Okay, so I'm going to load Postman. I'm going to open Postman, right? So stay tuned. Okay, so this is Postman. So what I want to show you here is this. You know, last time when we were developing this, now if we go back to our student here, so you take note that I used this one here. I used the natural ID for our email, so that no users in our database, no students can have the same, no two students can have the same email, right? And now here we actually cache. Last time when we cached a kind of user already exists exception here when we were actually trying to save a user right here, right? So here we see where we're trying to save the user. Where is it? Okay, when we are adding the user, so we actually try to find if the user already exists, right? So we are finding this user by the email, so we throw this, right? So now if we go back to Postman here, so this our collection, and inside this collection we have the user and we have all the endpoints for the user, right? So now if I go here, for example, I want to, so let's just go back to our browser to take a user. Let's steal one email here. So let's say I want to get this email. Let's get this email from here, and I want to post it here. So let me post this email here, or better still, let me just submit. Let me submit it here. Let me just save here. So we save. Let's go to our browser to actually verify if it is there. Juliet. So let's refresh. A new student was registered to the database, so let's refresh if we see Juliet. So here we actually have, okay, here we have Juliet here that we added with Postman, right? We have Juliet. Now if we go back to Postman, and I want to save this one again with the same email, so we're going to see the message that we're going to see the error message. Yeah, so here we have the exception message here, so we can see that our validation was working. You know, I didn't talk about it last time we were doing back end, so that we just want to call your attention to it. So now we can see that we cannot save a student that have the same email. So this exception here, we actually cache all this exception inside this package here, right? Inside this exception package, that is where we cache this exception. So this is the class, exception class here, where we declare all the exception here, right? In case you're not familiar with Spring Boot REST API exception handling, there's a video in our channel here in Daily Code Work here. There's a video here that actually where we have a demo on how to handle exception in Spring Boot REST API. So I will drop the link below so you can actually watch that video. It's really helpful. So it will help you to customize useful messages for a user to actually see what is going on in the back end, right? Okay, guys. So having said that, now we are going to this actually brings us to the end of this demo for this section. So thank you so much for coming, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. These are some of the ways you can actually assist me. You can actually show love, right? So please help me subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and introduce my channel to your friends, and share my channel on Facebook and everywhere. Just share it, all right, so that we can grow up our channel. From time to time, we're going to be having some good demo like this that will be showing here, right? Okay, and if you have any comment, if you have any message, anything you want us to do together, you can just put a comment there so that we can actually work towards it. So thank you so much for coming, and happy coding, and love you guys. Goodbye.